of 3 years. So there is there are a lot of things to catch up. There are a lot of conversations to catch up on, both in terms of India-Russia bilateral partnership, as also the geopolitics as it's panning out at the moment from the Europe war. Remember also the fact that the two leaders are meeting for the first time after the war in a summit format. In fact, Prime Minister had met in Samarkand with President Putin, and it was there that he had mentioned to the Russian leader that this is not an era of wars, something which immediately clicked with the Western world. And since then, Prime Minister Modi has been quoted innumerable number of times on his telling Russian president that this is not the time for war and that we should be focusing on peace and that there should be negotiations. And since then, Prime Minister has had many phone conversations. He has had phone conversations with President Zelensky of Ukraine as well. In fact, Prime Minister Modi met President Zelensky just last month on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Italy, where the Prime Minister had gone on an invitation. These are pictures of Russia TV. And the Russian side has really pulled all the stops to make the welcome look grand. And in fact, the build-up on the Russian side has been tremendous. These pictures coming in live from Moscow, where Prime Minister is going to come out of the aircraft anytime now. And coming back to the importance of the visit, the first one after Prime Minister took over, and the first one in a summit format when the two leaders would be meeting after the start of the Ukraine war in February 2022. And Prime Minister has just met President Zelensky last month on the sidelines of the G7 summit. So there would be a lot of things to share with the Russian president and exchange notes on. The gates should be opening anytime now. The stairs in place, the ceremonial guard of honor in place of the Red Army. And we have seen, okay, the gates have opened. The gates have opened, and the Prime Minister should be coming out anytime now. We have been discussing what the significance of Prime Minister Modi in Russia, making it his first port of call in his third term, and in a way a message to the larger Western world that India is not going to let go of its old relationships. Also, of course, because we have seen of late. Okay, let's cut to live pictures. Yes, we are continuing with these pictures. Any moment now, should be coming out. While we are sending a message to the West that India is going to stand with its old relationships and a very enduring friendship with Russia. Also, remember, this comes at a time when under the pressure and the stress of the war, Russia has been of late tilting towards China. And so we have to make sure that the Russian embrace of Beijing does not come at the cost of India and its relationship with India. So in a way, there is a lot of triangulation happening. And it's important that... Okay, so formally, the protocol officer of Russia going inside the aircraft, inviting the Prime Minister to formally inviting the Prime Minister to come out as it happens. These are, remember, even if it's not a state visit, very protocol-driven ceremonies. And Prime Minister visiting Moscow for the second only time since 2014. In fact, the last time he went was 2015. After that, he did go to Russia, but that was in 2019 to Vladivostok. Prime Minister there landed, has come down, and is now being asked to take the guard of honor. These are the pictures of Prime Minister coming out of the aircraft. We can cut to the Nat sounds as the ceremony begins. Prime Minister being received by Russian officials.
का ये पहला दौरा रूस का है और पहला द्विपक्षीय विदेशी दौरा भी है, काफी अहम है। किस तरह से भारत और रूस के जो ऐतिहासिक रिश्ते रहे हैं, जो परंपरागत रिश्ते रहे हैं, परंपरागत रूप से जो मैत्रीपूर्ण रूसी भारतीय संबंधों को आगे ले जाते हुए विकास की संभावनाओं के साथ साथ जो महत्वपूर्ण एजेंडे हैं इस वक्त अंतर्राष्ट्रीय और क्षेत्रीय, उन तमाम प्रासंगिक मुद्दों पर चर्चा होगी। किस तरह से एक संतुलन बनाते हुए भारत अपनी तटस्थ विदेश नीति के साथ आगे बढ़ रहा है और उसी की एक झलक हम यहाँ पर साफ तौर पर देख सकते हैं।
और भारत और रूस के बीच में द्विपक्षीय वार्ता 22वें द्विपक्षीय एक तरीके से जो संवाद है।
Okay, as the guard of honor begins, let me inform our viewers, Prime Minister was received by the first Deputy Prime Minister of Russia, Denis Monturov. Monturov is senior to the Deputy Prime Minister who received the Chinese President during his visit to Russia. In a rare gesture, the first Deputy Prime Minister Monturov will also accompany the Prime Minister to the hotel from the airport in the same car. We need to break this information. Prime Minister now being given a guard of honor with first Deputy Prime Minister of Russia, Denis Monturov.
Well, in fact, images now coming in of Prime Minister Modi landing in Moscow. Significant move made by Russia too, with a senior leader now being sent to receive the Prime Minister. In fact, it was the first Deputy Prime Minister of Russia, Denis Manturov, who received the Prime Minister. Interestingly, Manturov is the same person who had received the Chinese president during his visit to Russia. In fact, this is a rare gesture that the first Deputy Prime Minister Manturov will be accompanying the Prime Minister to the hotel from the airport in the same very car. Now, this is once again a reflection of how even Russia attaches importance to the relationship, keeping in mind that this comes at a time when Russia has largely been seen as a global pariah, and bringing India on their side happens to be one of the big tasks that has been cut out, keeping in mind that what we have seen over the last few weeks, particularly with Moscow and Beijing having their talks, and there were certain concerns that many had here in India, is that if at all Moscow and Beijing are inching closer, what does it really mean in terms of the relationship between India and Russia, a relationship that has been nurtured over 7 decades. But keeping in mind that Russia too essentially sees India playing a pivotal role as far as the Ukraine war is concerned, many are also hoping that on the table, on the cards, perhaps would also be India's role as a mediator, because that's a crucial aspect that one would be looking at. Keeping in mind that Global South has paid a hefty price because of the Russia-Ukraine war. So which way is it headed, and what role could India really play? What's important to point out here is the fact that the Prime Minister has chosen Russia as the first country that he visits after being sworn in. Remember, the previous visit that he has had was part of a multilateral meeting that took place in Italy. This happens to be the first bilateral that the Prime Minister is going to have in his third term. In fact, after Rajiv Gandhi, Prime Minister Modi is the only Prime Minister to have gone to Moscow immediately after being sworn in. This is also breaking the tradition that most Indian Prime Ministers have had in the past of choosing particularly the neighboring countries. Bhutan, Maldives were one of the countries that the Prime Minister had chosen in his previous term, but this time it was Russia. Listen into what's really happening on the ground, as there's a lot of celebrations taking place within the Indian diaspora that they are looking forward to the visit of the Prime Minister. Well, in fact, both the leaders have met 16 times. India and Russia have had multiple summits, in fact, 21 summits that have taken place so far. The last visit that the Prime Minister has had was back in 2019. This was just before the Ukraine war began. In fact, the meeting was with regards to the economic cooperation between both the nations in Vladivostok, also largely trying to deepen the energy ties that both the nations have. Remember, India has also faced a lot of flack from the Western nations for buying oil from Russia. But having said that, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has essentially spoken about the fact that India will certainly look out for themselves. It's in India's national interest. This is something that somewhere down the line, the West too have had to perhaps come to terms with the fact that India is not going to cow down under the pressure being built by the Western nations, particularly after several sanctions were imposed against Russia by the Western nations. Having said that, India has also played a constructive role, particularly with statements that have been made by the Prime Minister with regards to Ukraine war. Going back to the SCO summit, when the Prime Minister had spoken about the fact that this is not an era of war. And this was also taken up later during the G20 joint communique, which made a reference to that in Bali. Now, these are some of the things that are certainly expected to figure in the bilateral talk that's going to take place. Top of the chart would certainly be with regards to the Russia-Ukraine war and whether at all India plays a pivotal role in trying to diffuse the situation. And thereafter also looking at various other aspects, particularly with regards to trade. Remember, India's import from Russia, which hovers roughly around $61 billion, has tilted that balance of trade. That also is expected to figure in the talk that's going to take place with President Putin. Before we delve into further details of what's going to be on the agenda of Prime Minister Modi and President Putin, let's get you a glimpse of what's really happening on the ground. We'll also try and connect with Sucharita, who's joining us on this broadcast. Sucharita, thank you for joining us on this broadcast. Prime Minister Modi has landed in Moscow. A lot of celebrations, particularly with regards to the Indian diaspora. But before I get into that, first, walk us through the details of the Prime Minister's itinerary. As I understand, there's a private dinner which is scheduled late in the evening between President Putin and Prime Minister Modi.
Yes, absolutely. We are showing our viewers those visuals of the Prime Minister landing in Moscow, and he was given a grand welcome. The Deputy Prime Minister, the first Deputy Prime Minister, Maturov, was there to receive the Indian Prime Minister. And in a very, very rare gesture, we've already told our viewers, he's going to be traveling by the same car that reaches Hotel Carlton, where I am right now. As you said, the Indian diaspora, it has reached this hotel in huge numbers to welcome the Indian Prime Minister. But let me give out the viewers a sense of how this Moscow visit is going to be for the Indian Prime Minister. He's going to be reaching his hotel very soon, where he will be given a welcome by the Indian community. There will be some performances for him. There will be a short welcome addresses by some Indian students. And then there is a private evening dinner with the Russian president. So that's the program, that's the schedule for today. But tomorrow there is going to be that big community, the diaspora event, which is going to be held here at the Carlton Hotel, and there will be the Prime Minister's address for the Indians here in Russia. I will also show you a huge number of them have reached the hotel today also, and they are going to be part of that event tomorrow as well. Now, after that, there is going to be, the Prime Minister is going to be going to the tomb of the unknown soldier, where he's going to pay homage to the Russian soldiers who were martyred during the Second World War from 41 to 45. And after that, there will be a set of bilateral meetings between the two sides. So that is going to be Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Russia tour, the Russia visit. It is going, and then after that, he's going to be departing for Austria. But very significantly, as we've been telling our viewers, this is the first visit from an important state head to Russia ever since the war with Ukraine has started. And Russia is giving prime importance to the Indian Prime Minister's visit. They know that they have sanctions. They've been prohibited by the Americans, the European countries. Shavan, you were telling our viewers a little earlier how there have been a huge increase in the volumes of trade between the two countries, and that situation is only becoming better for the Indians also here in Russia. So when we speak to them, they say that the trade between India and Russia has only helped them improve ties with the Russians, because that is on one side there is trade, and on the other side there is this whole social community events that really add to the people-to-people ties between the two countries. I'm showing you around some pictures that we are getting from in front of the Carlton Hotel, and those children performing there, those are Indian students, if I could just get my way through. Those are Indian students who are performing here. They're right in front of the hotel. They are waiting for the Prime Minister to come. And that is a small gesture from their side to tell the people of India that they are happy to receive the Indian Prime Minister here in Moscow. These are the students who stay here in Russia. Their families have been staying here in Russia, but they still are holding on to the Indian roots. So those are warm visuals coming in from Moscow, right in front of the Carlton Hotel. And we're expecting the Prime Minister very soon here. He's going to be here in a few minutes from now. And I'm showing you those visuals of Indian students. Not just them. There are the Russian performances as well going on. So that is exactly what I speak about. I say that there are going to be deals about fifth generation fighter jets. There will be trade deals. There's going to be the rupiah interaction. But there will also be this community, the people-to-people tie that will always be at the center of Russia-India relationship. So we're waiting for the Prime Minister. And if you could just turn around, Sanjeet, if you could just turn around and see some of the guests who are here waiting to welcome the Prime Minister. Do you speak English?
English, no. Uzbekistan.
You're from
Bakhai.
Oh, and you're holding the... She's saying she's from Uzbekistan. She's holding the Indian flag. So, as I said, there are people not just from Russia. They were Uzbek women who were here, who were trying to welcome the Indian Prime Minister. So I'm showing you those visuals, and I also have now. As Chief Minister of Gujarat, he'd also been to Russia and been to the ISKCON temple here. And you have these sadhus from ISKCON who were performing earlier, who were singing chants. And they are also here to welcome the Prime Minister of India. So any of you who speaks English here? Does anyone speak? You don't want to say? So the Prime Minister has been to the ISKCON temple here in Moscow. As Chief Minister, he had gone there.
I'm sorry, my English not very well.
Not very good. But the chants that you were singing were beautiful. If you could just sing for me once, or for our audiences, it would be great.
We are chanting Hare Krishna for world peace on the world.
Chanting for peace. Now, again, a very important discussion, Shavan, that comes up every time we talk about the Putin-Modi meet is of peace and dialogue. Very significantly, a lot of quarters think that Prime Minister Narendra Modi can be a mediating factor between Ukraine and Russia. And that is something that we have spoken about here to Indians and Russians as well, because the Prime Minister has often spoken about peace and dialogue between the two countries. He's also extended his hands towards Ukraine, but he's also always held Russia's hand very, very firmly. So exactly, this is exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to peace and dialogue. Prime Minister Narendra Modi could be a mediating factor, is what a lot of Russians and Indians feel. We'll quickly slip into a short break because we are expecting the Prime Minister to be reaching Carlton Hotel very soon, and we are going to get you live pictures from here.
कंफर्मेशन के हिसाब से दो
Well, beyond the political talks, people-to-people relation between India and Russia holds a lot of significance as far as this relationship goes. My colleague Sucharita, who's there in Moscow, got us this report giving you a sense of what is really happening in terms of the people-to-people relationship in Moscow.
जब आप रूस आते हैं तो आप इस उम्मीद में रहते हैं कि आपको कोई तो ऐसे रूसी मिले जो हिंदी बोलते हैं, लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि हमें बहुत से ऐसे मिले हैं और अच्छा लग रहा है। मेरे साथ इस वक्त मार्क है, ये स्टूडेंट है, और मेरे साथ इस वक्त कटरीना है। उन्होंने कहा मुझे केट या कटरीना बुला सकते हैं। पहले तो बताइए, आप हिंदी बोलती हैं?
हाँ, हिंदी बात करती हूँ।
तो आपकी जब, क्योंकि यहाँ मेरे साथ सर, आपका नाम?
दीपक।
जब आपकी शादी दीपक से हुई तब आपने हिंदी सीखना शुरू किया?
हाँ, तब 8 साल पहले हम डिसाइड किया क्या हिंदी जरूरी है मेरे लिए, परिवार के साथ बात करना और ऐसे रिलेटिव्स के साथ। तो मैं खुद सिखाया बॉलीवुड मूवी के साथ और ऐसे गाना।
बॉलीवुड मूवीज से आपने हिंदी सीखी?
हाँ, सिर्फ मूवीज के साथ।
अब ये सोचिए कि हिंदी मूवीज कितना कुछ सिखा देती है, हिंदी फिल्में। उन्होंने पूरी भाषा सीख ली और आप तो बहुत अच्छा हिंदी बोल रही हैं केट।
हाँ, ठीक है।
आपकी बेटी है?
हाँ, बेटी दरीना। हमारे
दरीना को हिंदी आती है?
अभी तक नहीं, सिर्फ इंग्लिश और रशियन, लेकिन हिंदी सिखाएंगे।
स्कूल में इंग्लिश और रशियन?
हाँ, अभी
हिंदी सॉन्ग्स कुछ आते हैं इनको।
हिंदी सॉन्ग्स बहुत
वो आपको क्रेडिट नहीं दे रही है, वो कह रही है फिल्मों से सीख ली मैंने।
हाँ, उन्होंने वो पॉइंट आउट भी किया कि ओनली हिंदी मूवीज क्योंकि काफी बार ये मुझसे पूछती रहती थी कि इसको क्या कहते हैं, इसको क्या कहते हैं। मैं मतलब कभी कभी बताता था, सिखाता था, बट फिर मेरे को पता था कि खुद ही कर सकती हैं, तो कर लिया उन्होंने।
बहुत अच्छा। नाउ व्हाई डोंट यू कम हियर? माइक, टेल मी, हाउ ओल्ड आर यू? कितने साल के हैं आप?
I'm 15. I'm in the 9th form now.
और हम हिंदी में बात करते हैं।
In Hindi speak.
हाँ।
I don't know so many phrases in Hindi. I can say.
जो आता है वो बताइए, क्योंकि मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगा कि 15 साल का एक रूसी बच्चा हिंदी पढ़ रहा है और उनके खुद के इंटरेस्ट की वजह से पढ़ रहा है।
नमस्ते, मेरा नाम मार्क है। मैं रूस से हूँ, मैं मॉस्को में रहता हूँ। मैं स्कूल खारतन जाता हूँ।
तो हिंदी कहाँ से सीखी? Where have you learned हिंदी?
I learned Hindi myself.
अपने आप? From where?
I use a special app in my smartphone to do that.
अच्छा, तो अब देख लीजिए, एक ने फिल्मों से सीखी है, एक स्मार्ट ऐप से सीख रहे हैं। तो आप लोग सब ट्यूटर्स, जो ट्रांसलेटर्स हैं, उनकी तो नौकरी खा गए। लेकिन बताइए, और क्या बोलते हैं हिंदी में आप? You have friends who speak Hindi?
Yes, I have. I have already visited embassy. I know many people who speak Hindi.
अच्छा, very nice. तो आपके स्कूल में, in your school, there are other Russian children who want to speak Hindi?
No, there aren't, but when I was visiting MGIMO, there were special courses for people who want to work with the Eastern countries. I met a person who has been living in India for 8 years.
उनसे कुछ सीखा? You learned something from him? Some words?
We were speaking Hindi together.
Like?
Like, Namaste भाईजान, क्या आप कैसे हैं?
ये बड़ा अच्छा लगा. So tell me, what do I say hi Mike in Russian?
You want me to say something in Russian?
Yeah, if I say, अगर मैं आपसे बोलूँ hi Mike, how will I say it in Russian?
If you want to say hi or hello, you need to say здравствуйте or привет.
Привет Mike. अच्छा, आप केट ये बताइए कि आपके तो इंडियन फैमिली अब है, तो आप हिंदी सीख रही हैं, बट और भी आपके ऐसे दोस्त हैं जो रशियन हैं और हिंदी में इंटरेस्ट रखते हैं?
हाँ, मेरे पास है कोई लोग, कौन इंडिया रहता था 2-3 साल, ऐसे गोवा गए थे और रहते थे सन के साथ.
तो ये बताइए कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी आ रहे हैं, तो आप लोग कैसे देखते हैं रशिया?
Joint broadcast with Russia today coming up at 7 p.m. as Prime Minister Modi and President Putin expected to be a part of well, in fact, as details now coming in with regards to the Prime Minister's visit, in fact, a private dinner is scheduled around 9 o'clock this evening.
India-Russia relations will be in the spotlight as the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi pays a state visit to Moscow on Monday and Tuesday, marking his first visit to Russia since 2019. Now, we could see outcomes that will impact the geopolitical landscape. You can follow the latest updates right here on RT International in cooperation with India's Republic TV channel. We've got every angle covered for you, so make sure you don't miss it.
In his third term, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chooses Russia for his first bilateral visit. All eyes are going to be on the Modi-Putin camaraderie. We get you all the live updates here from Moscow in collaboration with Russia Today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarks on a journey to Russia. He's coming directly to Moscow. This is going to be after 9 years that he's going to be landing in the Russian capital. But this meeting becomes very, very special. And why do I say that? Because the Russian president is going to be having a private dinner with the Indian Prime Minister. And then it's going to be followed up by a bilateral meeting. Also a community event that is planned in Moscow with the Indian diaspora here.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Across the Republic with me, Shavan Sen. Our top focus, Prime Minister Modi has landed in Moscow, this after 9 years. 16 times both the leaders have already met. And this time, with the Prime Minister choosing Russia as its first country for the bilateral talks, in itself is a clear reflection of the deepening ties between India and Russia. A special broadcast with Russia Today is also lined up. Not just that, we're also going to take you through the other stories that we are tracking at this hour. This is coming in from Hathras. Where is the Baba? Over 120 deaths that have taken place in the stampede, but the Baba is still on the run. A new poison theory has been peddled by his lawyer. Prime Minister Modi lands in Moscow for the first time since 2019, and he will attend a dinner hosted by President Putin later tonight. Prime Minister Modi greeted with the ceremonial guard of honor as he lands in Moscow to attend the 22nd India-Russia summit. Prime Minister Modi lands in Moscow with big bilaterals on the cards. All eyes now on the historic Modi-Putin meeting.
कुछ नहीं हुआ था, मेरे पीठ पे गिरी थी वो बोनेट पे। हम लोग ऊपर उड़े ना, वो मेरे पीठ पे गिरी थी। उसने उसको गाली दी, रुक रुक, वो रुका नहीं, वो चिल्ला रही थी, कोई सुना नहीं, कोई सुना नहीं।
Yet another hit and kill case in Maharashtra. Shiva Sena leader's son missing as BMW kills one father under arrest. Republic confronts the Health Minister of Karnataka, Gundu Rao, over a video of him swimming even as dengue cases continue to rise in Karnataka. Starting this edition of Across the Republic with some breaking news now coming in from Mumbai. This is in the BMW hit and run case. We're getting the latest details. Shiva Sena leader who was arrested by the Mumbai police has been well, in fact, we're cutting across to some latest visuals now coming in of the Prime Minister who has reached Moscow a short while back. A ceremonial guard of honor was given to the Prime Minister. In fact, he's been accompanied by the first Deputy Prime Minister of Russia. Interestingly, he's also accompanied the Prime Minister in that very car that you can see right now on your screens. The Indian diaspora as well as Russian and Indian officials welcoming the Prime Minister to Moscow. A short while from now, the Prime Minister would be heading towards Kremlin, where a private dinner between President Putin and Prime Minister Modi is scheduled, which is roughly around 9 o'clock this evening. A lot on the cards right now with the Prime Minister landing in Moscow almost after 9 years. This was the last meeting that he has had with President Putin, was of course on the sidelines of a multilateral meeting, particularly in Samarkand in Uzbekistan, is where, remember, the Prime Minister made that comment with regards to the Russia-Ukraine war. So what role does the Prime Minister really play, and whether at all India could play the role of a mediator? Interestingly, after this visit of the Prime Minister to Russia, he would be heading towards Austria. Interestingly, Austria happens to be a non-NATO country and also seen as a neutral country as far as Russia-Ukraine war is concerned. So many also speculating, particularly policymakers as well as global strategists, looking at whether at all Russia could actually depend on India as well as Austria as far as playing the role of a mediator. These images that you see right now on your screens are of the Prime Minister who's reached the Carlton hotel, where he's been greeted by members of the Indian diaspora in Moscow, who are also quite excited, keeping in mind that this would also be deepening ties between both the nations, and also particularly trade relations would actually get a boost with the Prime Minister's visit. Well, in fact, my colleague Sucharita is also joining us on this broadcast. Sucharita, you're outside the Carlton Hotel. The Prime Minister has reached What's the mood like?
गा तो सकती नहीं है.
Well, in fact, we'll try and reconnect with Sucharita in a short while from now. As you can see, typical to the Prime Minister's visit to an overseas country, with you've essentially seen the diaspora coming out in large numbers to greet the Prime Minister. This afternoon, when we reached out to an Indian businessman who largely put this into perspective as to how the Prime Minister's visit always ends up in boosting not only the morale of the Indian diaspora, but also it results in massive boost in terms of trade relations with that particular country. Now, as far as India-Russia goes, remember, for a very long time, India has been importing heavily from Russia pertaining to oil and various other aspects too, which has been covered in the imports. But that sees a change too. We'll try and see, also take you through some of those reactions that are now coming in. Let's listen in. And we'll also put across some of those reactions coming in from Indian businessmen in Moscow.
की थी, उन्होंने स्वागत भी किया, उनके लिए किस तरह झंडों को लेकर हाथ में पहुंचे थे. लेकिन मेरे पीछे तो आप देख लीजिए, भारत और रूस के रिश्तों की एक जो कहानी है वो जीवंत नजर आ रही है. ये रूसी महिलाएं हैं और भारतीय परिधान में स्वागत के लिए पहुंची हैं, और भारतीय लोग तो आपको दिख ही रहे हैं. मैम, आपका नाम क्या है?
मेरा नाम रेखा है.
तो रेखा जी, आपको लगता है कि नरेंद्र मोदी और भारत की सरकार रूस के साथ अपने रिश्ते आगे बढ़ाकर बिल्कुल सही कर रही है?
नहीं, बहुत आगे बढ़ रहे हैं. काफी लोग भी इंडियन लोगों को बहुत पसंद कर रहे हैं. बहुत ज्यादा आपस में इनका काफी अच्छा.
आप यहाँ रहते हैं, आपको क्या लगता है, आपको यहाँ भारतीय होने का कोई फायदा, या आपको लगता है यहाँ पर आपको कुछ पहले से बेहतरी पसंद करते हैं?
अच्छा है, अच्छा लगता है. भारतीय लोगों को ये पसंद भी करते हैं, रशियन लोग. हाँ.
अच्छा, मुझे किसी ने कहा कि भारतीय लोगों पर रूसी लोग बहुत भरोसा भी करते हैं.
जी, ऐसा बिल्कुल बात सच है. जी, बिल्कुल बात सच है, क्योंकि एक कल्चर लोग पसंद करते हैं यहाँ के. इंडियन मूवीज, राज कपूर वगैरह की मूवीज काफी देखते आए हैं लोग, इसलिए.
राज कपूर की मूवीज देख रहे हैं अभी तक? अभी
आप जिम्मी आप यहाँ पे चिल्लाइए, लोग सब डांस करने लगेंगे. जी, बिल्कुल.
मैम, आप कुछ कहना चाह रही हैं? आप मुस्कुरा रही हैं बात सुनकर.
क्या? हाँ, अभी भी मैं जब मार्केट में जाती हूँ तो इधर जिम्मी बहुत फेमस है ये सॉन्ग. ये मिथुन चक्रवर्ती जी बहुत, राज कपूर जी, अभी शाहरुख खान, ऐश्वर्या राय जी बहुत फेमस है.
मुझे आज एक रूसी महिला मिली थी जिन्होंने पूरी हिंदी सिर्फ बॉलीवुड फिल्में देखकर सीखी है, और वो सिर्फ बॉलीवुड फिल्में देखकर उन्होंने पूरी भाषा सीख ली. यहाँ, डू यू स्पीक इंग्लिश?
या.
So you know that the Indian Prime Minister is here. How do you feel about it?
Yes,
amazing day, atmosphere.
Wonderful. We think it's very good that our country is a friend.
Our country is friends. आपको लग रहा है कि ये जो दोस्ती की बात वो कर रही है, ये सिर्फ मोदी पुतिन दोस्ती नहीं है, ये रूस भारत के बीच में भी दिखता है?
ये रूस भारत की दोस्ती है. मोदी पुतिन से बहुत पुरानी दोस्ती है, और दोस्ती का तो आप देख ही रहे हैं. लोग यहाँ पे बहुत सारे लोग हैं, रशियन लोग, जो अभी हिंदी में भी इंटरेस्ट दे रहे हैं, सीख भी रहे हैं. और आपने डांस इनका शायद देखा ही था अभी थोड़ी देर पहले. आपको एक झलक दिखाऊंगा.
हाँ, प्लीज दिखाइए ना, अगर वो दिखाए. हाँ.
बरेली के बाजार में झुमका गिरा रे, बरेली के बाजार.
रूस में
झुमका गिरा हाय हाय.
अच्छा, इंटरेस्टिंग ये है, आप लोग यहाँ पर नरेंद्र मोदी आए हैं इसलिए गाने गा रहे हैं, लेकिन या फिर आमतौर पर भारतीय गाने यहाँ गाते हैं?
मैम, यहाँ पे गाते हैं, और यहाँ पे अगर आप किसी टैक्सी में सफर करेंगे तो आप सुनेंगे यहाँ पे मिथुन चक्रवर्ती के और प्यार हुआ इकरार हुआ ऐसे गाने बजते हैं.
अच्छा, मतलब बॉलीवुड गाने बजते हैं.
यहाँ पर लोग शाहरुख खान को बहुत प्यार करते हैं, और राज कपूर, और सब. जैसे हम लोग टैक्सी में बैठते हैं, लोग बोलते हैं ओ ऐसे ऐश्वर्या राय, शाहरुख खान,
जैसे ही हम टैक्सी में बैठते हैं सबसे पहले हमें कहते हैं इंडियन, तो वो हमें देख के इतना खुश होते हैं जैसे हम उनको कोई भगवान मिल गया हो, और फिर हमें पूरी सारी मूवीज के नाम बताते हैं. कई कई बार तो ऐसे होते जो हमारी नहीं देखी हुई होती, उनकी देखी हुई होती है।
अब मैं एक बार बता दूं, मेरे साथ यहाँ पर बीजेपी के राष्ट्रीय प्रवक्ता शहजाद पूनावाला जी जुड़ रहे हैं। एम्बेसडर दीपक।
Well, in fact, these are the images that are now coming in from outside the Carlton Hotel, where my colleague Sucharita has been reporting. There is undoubtedly that enthusiasm that one would actually see within the Indian diaspora. As far as Russia is concerned, this, if one goes beyond the conflict that we are talking about, largely we have seen the kind of relationship that both of the nations have faced over the years, starting from the USSR times to what we have seen now in the last few years. But there is also a twist that we have seen, particularly given the fact that over the last few months, especially after as the conflict basically intensifies, Russia has also been depending heavily on Beijing. In fact, President Xi's visit to Moscow is also something that has come across as a huge cause of concern for New Delhi. Let's not forget that Russia for the longest time has not really handed out any of the defense technologies or details of it to the other countries, those which have been given to India. And that is the reason why many would say that with Beijing coming closer, and at a time that there is a standoff here in India with China, that remains as one major concern, which perhaps the Prime Minister would also like to address during the meeting that takes place with President Putin. And beyond that, remember, there is also the fact that the Prime Minister in the past, when he had visited Moscow, had also indicated the fact that this is not a political relationship that one is looking at, but a relationship that has been nurtured over a long period of time because of the people-to-people ties and the fact that you've had the Indian diaspora playing a pivotal role in the business aspect in Russia. So these are certain things that the Prime Minister has been looking into. If you take a look at the numbers too, the Prime Minister's multiple visits that have taken place and the number of times the Prime Minister has actually met President Putin is also an indication of the fact that there is a relationship that both the leaders have actually enjoyed. Remember, in the past, too, President Putin many a times has spoken about the Prime Minister's role in nurturing this relationship, has hailed the Make in India program in some of those summits that the President has spoken, hailing the fact that India today is a global power that cannot be ignored. And that is the reason why today when you see the Prime Minister who's in Moscow, largely would also be looking at just not between the ties between both the nations, also as what India could play as a global power. Can India really play the role of a mediator? Can India actually diffuse the current situation? So these are certain aspects that would be covered during the meeting that's going to take place. Let's take you through some of the reports that have been filed by my colleague Sucharita, and we'll also take you through the significance of this visit of the Prime Minister.
Moscow is gearing up to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This is the first Indian Prime Minister's visit to Russia since 2015. Prime Minister Narendra Modi landed in Moscow minutes ago and will attend a dinner hosted by President Vladimir Putin later today.
We've made it very clear that the Prime Minister in his third term has chosen Russia for his first bilateral visit, which really puts down the importance that he has given to the India-Russia ties. We know that this came as a surprise to many Western countries after the sanctions that had been put on Russia. But the Prime Minister very, very clear, and the Indian government very clear, that it wants to tread the path of very clearly strategic autonomy that India has been following, and it will do so in the future as well.
PM Modi will also take part in the 22nd annual India-Russia summit, which will begin tomorrow. PM Modi will also address the Indian diaspora in Moscow tomorrow morning. Republic also spoke to the members of the Indian diaspora who are eagerly awaiting Prime Minister's address.
I am joined by a group of Indian students here in Russia who are going to be performing for the Prime Minister Narendra Modi once he lands here. So let me speak to a few. How many days have you been preparing for this performance?
Well, to be honest, we've only been preparing for like 4 days roughly, but we've been waiting for quite a while now.
You guys are experts. You don't need much practice.
We try to make it our best, the best we can do.
So, is there, when I just heard you all boys and girls saying Bharat Mata Ki Jai, if you can just say it for our camera, it'll be wonderful.
Bharat Mata Ki
Jai! It's not just Indians. The locals in Moscow are also gearing up for the 22nd annual India-Russia summit.
Where are you from in Russia?
We're from Moscow, but in our team have got girls from all over Russia. We're so happy that Prime Minister is coming here and that relations between India and Russia becoming more strong. It really makes inspiration in all fields, not only culture, which we like, but also in economy, in travel, everything.
Beautiful. And where are you also from Moscow?
Yeah, Jiha.
Oh, do you love wearing this jewelry, the dresses, the Indian dresses? How do you find them?
Yes, this is the main point why I adore Indians so much.
All eyes are on Moscow as two of the biggest leaders re-elected to power are all set to meet in what promises to be a momentous occasion to further enhance the historic ties between India and Russia.
Well, let's also take you through the other stories that we are tracking through the day. Shift of focus now to Mumbai. After Pune Porsche case, there is a rerun of the same case in Mumbai. In fact, the law and order situation has once again come into question, where a speeding luxury car has once again mowed down a couple, killing a woman and devastating the husband and family members. It might sound quite familiar because this is an incident which has also taken place in Pune recently. But in this case, what has taken place in Mumbai's Worli, the accused was driving the car, Mihir Shah, belongs to a politically connected family and has been absconding from the very day that the incident took place. In fact, a short while back, the Shiva Sena leader has also been granted a provisional bail and the main accused is still absconding. Listen in to what the husband had to say and the fact that this is a devastating situation for the family members.
Another city, another luxury car, another hit, kill and abscond. A rerun of Pune Porsche murder cover-up, this time in Mumbai's Worli. A speeding BMW knocked down Kaveri and Pradeek who were travelling on a bike. The impact was so severe that the bike overturned and the couple were thrown onto the bonnet of the car. While the husband managed to jump off the bonnet, his wife was dragged for another 100 meters by the car while the driver tried to flee. While the husband survived, his wife was not as fortunate. Republic spoke to the devastated family of the victim that claimed that she could have been saved if the driver had stopped.
तभी रुक जाता तो जान से बच
रुक जाता तो उसको कुछ नहीं हुआ था मेरे पीठ पे गिरी थी वो बोनेट पे हम लोग ऊपर उड़े ना वो मेरे पीठ पे गिरी थी उसने उसको गाली दी रुक वो रुका नहीं वो चिल्ला रही थी कोई सुना नहीं वो जोर से चिल्ला रही थी मेरे सामने से परपट के ऐसा घसीट के लेके गया ना कोई जानवर को भी नहीं लेके जाता ऐसा घसीट के लेके गया क्या करूं मैं चिल्ला रहा है रुको कुछ नहीं रुका.
And yet again a political angle has emerged. The car belongs to a Shiv Sena leader from Palghar. His son, 24-year-old Mihir Shah, was driving the vehicle and is now absconding. The father of the accused, Rajesh Shah, and the driver have been taken into custody.
पुलिस स्टेशन वर्ली में एक गुना रजिस्टर किया गया. गुना का जो कलम है भारतीय न्याय संहिता 105, 281, 125 व 238, 324 4 व मोटर वाहन अधिनियम 184, 134 और 134 व और 187 इन कलम के तहत आज गुना रजिस्टर किया गया है और उसमें आगे का इन्वेस्टिगेशन चालू है.
Republic managed to access CCTV footage showing the absconding accused Mihir Shah leaving a pub mere hours before the incident.
ये जो घर का जो हालात है, ये जो लड़की है रोए जा रही है, बेटी है रोए जा रही है, बेटा है रोया जा रहा है, क्या होगा इस फैमिली का? ये नवाबजादे जो बड़े बड़े गाड़ी लेके तेज रफ्तार से गाड़ी दौड़ाते हैं रास्ते में और किसी का भी जान ले सकते हैं क्या? ऐसा अधिकार किसने दिया है उनको? किसी का भी जान ले सकते, पीस के चले जाए। और एक्सीडेंट होने के बाद उनको लेके गाड़ी 4 से 5 किलोमीटर तक गया। अगर तभी गाड़ी वो रोक देता तो शायद आज इस घर का ये हालत नहीं होता। यही हम पूछते रहेंगे कि कब तक ये रईसजादे गाड़ी चलाएंगे रास्ते पे, अपना रास्ता समझ के तेज रफ्तार से गाड़ी चलाएंगे। और एक लड़की अपनी माँ को उसने खो दिया, लड़का माँ को खो दिया। एक पति जो पूरा घर का काम कारोबार संभालने के बाद भी बाहर का कारोबार भी संभालती थी, एक पत्नी को खो दिया।
Although Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde has assured a stringent action and said that there will be no miscarriage of justice,
कोई भी हो उसको बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। और ये जो मैंने पुलिस कमिश्नर जी को भी कल कहा है कि हिट एंड रन में जितने भी होटल है, ये होटल जितने देरी से रात को बंद करते हैं उनके ऊपर कार्रवाई करो, लाइसेंस रद्द करो। और जो ड्रंक एंड ड्राइव वाला जो ड्राइव है वो भी तेज करो, वहाँ पर भी तेज़ी से चेकिंग करो। जो भी है वहाँ पर कोई भी ड्रिंक करके ड्राइव न करे और ऐसे एक्सीडेंट ना हो। और इसलिए उनको ऐसे अगर जो हैबिचुअल है उनको लाइसेंस भी उनका रद्द करने के मैंने बोल दिया है। और इसलिए ये बहुत बड़ा ड्राइव भी पुलिस लेंगे। और ये हिट एंड रन जो है इसको पूरी तरह हम पाबंदी कैसे हो सकती है इसके ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं। इसमें कड़ी कार्रवाई होगी, जो भी है उसको छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा।
the reality on the ground remains entirely different and contradictory. For how long will power and money provide a safe passage for politically linked accused? Why hasn't the Mumbai police hunted down the absconding accused Mihir Shah yet?
Well, shift to focus now to Hathras. It's been 6 days since the devastating stampede that took place in Hathras, killing about 121 people. UP police so far has arrested 12 individuals, but so far there is no word as far as the Baba is concerned. In fact, he's not even been named in the FIR. Today, Baba's lawyer has given a new twist to the entire story, saying that there was a poisonous spray that was used when the crowd had gathered, resulting in a stampede-like situation. So there is an attempt that has been made by the Baba's legal counsel, essentially indicating that this was part of a larger conspiracy.
A judicial probe is underway in the Hathras stampede tragedy that killed 121 people last week. Earlier, 6 people, including the main accused, who is the self-styled Baba's primary aide, were arrested. And 2 more people were arrested earlier today. Republic TV spoke to the lawyer who has now alleged that anti-social elements disrupted the crowd after the satsang by spraying poisonous substances.
Use spray, poisonic, dangerous spray, and run in a very speed, very fastly. And after doing every illegal work, and they set in their cars, which are available en route towards ETA, and they run away. So I also send a written complaint before SP Hathras that take CCTV footage, free CCTV footage towards ETA and towards Aligarh toll plaza. That is a compulsory. By this investigation, a real culprit may be sent to bar.
A total of 11 people have been arrested in connection with the incident till now. But the main person responsible for this devastating incident, the self-styled godman Bhole Baba, is yet to be questioned. Republic also accessed the permission document given by the UP government allowing a gathering of 80,000 people. But in reality, over 2.5 lakh people turned up, resulting in huge chaos and a riot-like situation.
There have been 11 arrests that were made in this case so far, but the key question is,
that will the accountability, will the responsibility also be fixed of this self-styled godman who claims himself to be Narayan Sagar Hari but whose real name is Surajpal Jatav. Will he be made to get away? Will there be no sterner action that would be taken against him? Only time will tell. So far, what we can tell you from the ground is that the investigation is going on and all those people who have either died or have injured still await justice from the Uttar Pradesh government and all the agencies that are involved in this investigation.
6 days have gone by since the deadly and devastating stampede. But Bhole Baba is not yet questioned by the police. Meanwhile, the family of the victims are crying out for justice and for those responsible for the tragedy to be brought before the law.
That's all that we could pack in this edition of Across the Republic. Don't miss the special broadcast coming up at 7 p.m. with Russia's leading broadcaster, Russia Today.
From United States to China, the world looks on at the Putin-Modi camaraderie.
India-Russia ties are quite strong. We share a special and privileged partnership.
Indian people so nice, they're so kind. I like them very much.
बहुत अच्छी साइन है कि दो राष्ट्राध्यक्ष दो मित्र देश एक साथ मिल रहे हैं.
Join me, Sujarita Kukreti, live from Moscow as I report for Republic TV.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 private university in the recently released Education World Rankings. A testimony to Amity's globally benchmarked standards in education.
कंफर्मेशन के हिसाब से दो अलग अलग इनकाउंटर साइट्स पे इनकाउंटर्स हुए हैं. बॉडी की कंफर्मेशन के हिसाब से 6 आतंकियों का मारे जाने का खबर है. जी जी
सर, कितनी बड़ी सफलता है ये सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के लिए, क्योंकि काफी चल रहा था पिछले दिनों से इंटेलिजेंस इनपुट जिस अंदाज से जम्मू में कुछ टेरर अटैक्स हुए थे और लगातार उसके बाद ऑपरेशंस आपने शुरू किए. डोडा में 4 टेररिस्ट मारे गए, उसके बाद बारामूला में और अब साउथ कश्मीर के कुलगाम में.
निसंदेह ये एक बहुत बड़ा माइलस्टोन है, बहुत बड़ा प्रोग्रेस है.
His third term and Prime Minister Narendra Modi chooses Russia for his first bilateral visit. From the United States to China, the world looks on at the Putin-Modi camaraderie. Join me, Sujarita Kukreti, live from Moscow as I report for Republic TV.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Prime Minister Modi lands in Moscow for the first time since 2019, and he'll attend a dinner hosted by President Putin later tonight. PM Modi greeted with a ceremonial guard of honor as he lands in Moscow to attend the 22nd India-Russia summit. Prime Minister in Moscow with big bilateral on the cards. All eyes now on the historic Modi-Putin meeting. Shinde Sena leader Rajesh Shah granted bail in the Worli hit-and-run case. Driver remanded to one-day police custody. Top court dismisses plea. Top court dismisses plea by Mamata's government challenging High Court order over CBI probe in Sandesh Khali. And Supreme Court asked CBI to file a status report on the investigation of the NEET scam so far. Right, getting a breaking news development. Let's begin the bulletin with that. It's coming in on Hathras investigation. Remember the unfortunate Hathras stampede. Now an audio clip is being circulated in the city where two sevadars of Bhole Baba are heard having conversation of how the Hathras stampede resulted in loss of many lives. This was caused due to mismanagement. The investigating officers so far have not verified the authenticity of the audio, but it's clear that the audio suggests that there was some mismanagement on the part of the organizers, which the Sevadars, who are part of the team of Bhole Baba, seem to be admitting to. Let's listen into the audio, and then we have Piyush joining us live. Piyush Ohri joining us live in a bit.
अरे यार बहुत लोग खत्म हुई है यार।
नहीं बामे हो तो बहुत लोग गए खत्म है। बामे कोई ऐसी दिक्कत ना है। बाय तो कि परले आई हो उन पे।
अच्छा।
उनने पहले बताया और परमात्मा ने कि घबराने जरूरत नहीं, आवश्यकता नहीं है, बड़बड़ाना मत। इसमें कई लोगों की मौत हो जाएगी आज।
अच्छा फिर?
हाँ, तासे लोग जिसका ही वो तो चाहिए तो उन अपने आप सड़क गिरने लगे थे मर के।
अच्छा।
ऑटोमेटिक वहाँ जो एक घबराना, एक गिरो, दो गिरे, फिर तीन गिरे, फिर अपने आप सब लोग भाग मची, फिर और मरिए, फिर उन तो लाशें बिछी ही।
और तुम कहाँ थे?
हम भाई जगह पटे जहाँ सब संगत मर रही थी भाई जगह हम लोग हम कहाँ हुए यार, हमें तो फिर उन बचाए लो, हम क्या करें भैया। हाँ हमें भेज दो कि जाओ अपने घर है चुपचाप।
अच्छा।
भक्ति करो यार नारायण साकार रही और भक्ति जाने छोड़ दियो ताजना तुमने बचे जो कह दी।
अच्छा।
हाँ जिसको भैया भक्ति जो करे उनकी बोई बच पाए, अब उन्हें परले शुरू कर दो आज से।
अच्छा।
अब बचाव संभव ना है, अब तो निश्चित आना ही आना है। उन्हें खुलासा कर दे, टेस्ट बता दो, अब कम से कम 2 लाख की भीड़ थी। हाँ भीड़ बहुत होती ताकि हमारे सबको ये कोई दिक्कत ना है। प्रभु जी यही है, सब चीजें कोई ऐसी बात ना है। हाँ वह सब हो सकत तो वह लाशा रखी हैं तो हो सकत वह जिंदा कर सकत, कोई बड़ी बात ना है।
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा।
हाँ वह कोई बड़ी बात ना है, घबराने की जरूरत ना है। वह सब कुछ ऐसे रुकवाए दो।
अच्छा।
हाँ अब कोई बड़ी बात ना, मरे हुए जिंदा करते थे। अब परीक्षा ले तो का करते हैं, कौन कौन आ रहे हो अधिकारी, कौन उनके सामने ना आ रहे हो, तासे उनने भी फैलाओ राग, उन्हें कोई पहचान ना पा रहे हो। अब अपनी पूरी पहचान बता रहे हो, टेटर कह रहे हम कोई खरीदारी नहीं है, हम खरीदारी नहीं है, फिर भी ना आदमी समझ पा रहे हो।
अरे
हाँ अब टेटर का आज बहुत कई समस्या उनने कि जो मैं खरीदारी समझ रहे हो, मैं हम खरीदारी नहीं है। आज देखो क्या होता है, संभालो कितना संभाल पाओगे। तासे घबराए हुए जुड़ना है। उन्होंने कह दिया हमें मारना होगा तो हम घर में से मार देंगे, जाके नहीं मारना उसको हम घर चुपचाप भेज देंगे। आज 25 साल हुई, कबू इतनी भीड़ भाई, इतनी भीड़ भी कहूँ हादसा देखो तुमने। कभी नहीं मिला होगा, आज उनकी नीला हाथी दिखाए रहे तो हाँ भाई कोई ना रोक पाए, कोई आया संसार में कोई ना रोक सकता, उन्होंने कह दी हमको कोई नहीं रोक सकता। तासा घबराए हुए जोतना है भैया, सब डराते हैं उनसे, प्रभु जी से घबराते हैं, सब संगत घबराए रही प्रभु जी से कि पता नहीं, हाँ सब घबराए रहे प्रभु जी से। हाँ बहुत, एक घबरा रहे पुलिस यादगारी लोग मरिए हुए हैं, हम पुलिस वाले लोग निरे ताजा घबराइयो ना उनसे भैया, डराते रहे तो बचे रहे, नहीं डरे तो को विनाश हो बचाव संभव ना है। लोग गए खत्म है,
कम से कम 3 लोग खत्म हुए, 3 साढ़े 3
हमें जानने की कीमत है।
तुम तो भावना कैसे बची जाएगी, तो
जब एक खत्म हुई है तो खत्म हुई है, फिर डरे हो ना तुम मत, जैसे ही तुम भैया कहने गिर पड़े, तुम्हारे ऊपर आदमी लेकर पड़ो, फिर दूसरों भरो वो गिर पड़ो, तीसरों वो गिर पड़ो, हजारों आदमी तो पिछियो हुआ
एकदम,
अब एकदम परले तो आई, हम कह गा रहे परले तो आई हूँ बच जा भाई, और कोई बात ना है, परले ही उनने दिखाई दो और क्या कर दो। अब तक इतनी 25 साल हुई, कहूँ ऐसा भाव कबू
वो तो ना हो जाए।
और ज्यादा से ज्यादा भीड़ तो राजस्थान में होते, जब 2 लाख की भीड़ थी, लगभग अपना 3-3 लाख की भीड़ होते है। हाँ कोई ज्यादा
लेडीज है ज्यादा,
तो लेडीज हूँ, आदमी हूँ बहुत बहुत।
अच्छा
आदमी बहुत, अस्पताल भर एम्बुलेंस पूजी नहीं है
तो तुमने देखो
यार, हम तो सब लाशें उठवाई हूँ भैया यार, उठी ना सजा हुई यार हमारी।
अरे
हम किने कह रहे हैं हटन ना दो, जब पुलिस ने चलो उन्हें उठवा ना ली सब
टाइम न लगी रही यार, हमने कच्चा पता नहीं कहाँ
ना कोई ऐसी बात ना, घबराओ ना, परेशान हो ना, सब आइए सुरक्षित, सब हैं, सब कोई ऐसी बात ना। हाँ जो रहिए बेऊ सब सुरक्षा, सब जहाँ तहाँ जाम कर दो तो रोड, कोई ऐसी बात ना है।
All right, Piyush Ori joins us live. In fact, he's the one who has accessed this audio. Piyush, clearly it emerges from this audio that that there was mismanagement, and 2, that post the mishap, the management tried to cover up. It's clear from the conversation between these two sevadars who are part of the team of Bhole Baba that they knew that mismanagement has happened and they wanted to do a cover-up job, hatchet job of it.
So yes, good evening to you, Abhishek, and you raised a very pertinent point. Yes, there was mismanagement, and the reason for the mismanagement was that the private force of this hairstyle government, Bhole Baba, whose real name is Surajpal Jatav, was given a free hand. In fact, of the sources who have spoken to us with Republic in private, the UP police have also conceded that how most of this private force are managing the show, and the UP police were not given the free hand to manage the public, and thereby you saw that how, because of the mismanagement, the reported conversation between these two associates or sevadar maintain, they admit that there was mismanagement, and that resulted in a stampede, and that resulted in death of over 121 people. The key question over here now is that even though there have been 11 arrests that have been made so far by the Uttar Pradesh police, the key question is that all these people who have been arrested so far are just sevadars, they have been associates. And will the buck stop only with the arrest of these associates and sevadars, or will the UP police go ahead and also arrest those people who were giving these people directions? And when I talk about giving these people directions, I also mean that will the responsibility go and stop at the doors of this self-styled godman, Bhole Baba, or Surajpal Jatav, or what his real name is. Now we have exposed over here in Republic that how this Bhole Baba, this self-styled godman, has a financial clout, and how also because of his financial clout he has some political links. So thereby it becomes now very important of the two parallel investigations that has been undertaken, first by the Uttar Pradesh police and also by the Judicial Commission. Will the buck stop only with the arrest of these sevadars, or will the buck stop with the punitive action being taken against this person also, whose name is Surajpal Jatav, identified as Bhole Baba among his devotees? Back to you, the studio.
One quick question before I let you go, Piyush, and which is that, has this audio been taken on record by the police as part of its investigation? And these two sevadars who are having this conversation, have they been identified?
Well, so far, Abhishek, what I can tell you is that this has not been verified and this has not been authenticated by the Uttar Pradesh police in public. However, as what we have been told by the sources is that the Uttar Pradesh police, in fact, at the police lines today, there was a very long meeting of all the investigating officers in the case. And when we tried having a word with them, they just told us that, yes, they are trying to verify the video, but officially, they are not authenticating the veracity of this video. And right now, there are over 78 suspects. Most of them are sevadars who are in the radar of the Uttar Pradesh police as far as the mismanagement of this Hathras religious congregation is concerned. It is important to note, however, that of the 78 suspects which are in the radar of Uttar Pradesh police, there is no name of Bhole Baba, whose real name is Suraj Pal Jatab. So yes, it is going to be now interesting to see that in the days to come, will the buck stop only with the arrest of these sevadars, or will the buck stop at the doors of the self-styled godman Suraj Pal Jatab also? Back to the studio.
All right, thank you so much, Piyush, with those updates. We are going to keep close tracks of investigation taking place, close track of the investigations taking place in the Hathras stampede tragedy, and keep bringing to you the latest. Moving on, let's look at some other stories from across the country in a Bharat in 5 minutes wrap. Congress MP Rahul Gandhi visited Manipur today and met people at a relief camp in Churachandpur. His visit to Manipur comes a year after violent clashes happened in the state between two communities. This is Gandhi's first visit to the strife-torn state since being elected to the Lok Sabha from Uttar Pradesh's Raebareli in recent general elections. He is also expected to meet Manipur Governor Anusuya Uike at the Raj Bhavan. NCP Sharad Pawar leader Jitendra Avhad called the Worli hit-and-run case a serious matter and said that people in Pahar are not bothered. On Sunday, a speeding BMW car belonging to a Shiv Sena leader rammed into a two-wheeler, throwing the Worli couple on the bonnet of the car. While the husband managed to jump off, his wife was dragged for 100 meters and was declared dead when taken to hospital.
Very serious matter. People who in power are not bothered. I really feel very sorry that a lady is being pulled, dragged for 1 kilometer, and that shameless leaves the car there and runs away. It's a very serious matter, very, very serious.
In the anti-terror operations in Jammu and Kashmir's Kulgam, the armed forces have recovered arms and ammunition from the terrorists that were neutralized. The operation has been undergoing for the last 3 days now. The operation began when the Indian Army received information that some terrorists were hiding in the region. 6 of those have been neutralized so far. After the Supreme Court rejected the West Bengal government's plea challenging Calcutta High Court order directing CBI probe in the Sandesh Khali incident, CPM leader Mohammad Salim said the government's role is to investigate and find out the truth. He called the Supreme Court's order right and added that there must be an inquiry. He also accused the Mamata government of protecting the main accused.
सरकार का काम है जांच कराना, सत्य को निकालना ढूंढ के। यहाँ पे वो सत्य को दबा करके मिथ्या बोलती है ममता बनर्जी और तृणमूल कांग्रेस सरकार। इस बात को फिर प्रमाण हुआ है, जांच हो, दूध का दूध पानी का पानी हो।
In Karnataka's Nelamangala, several people lined up to receive alcohol. The incident happened at a party organized by Chikvallapur BJP MP K. Sudhakar, who was celebrating his Lok Sabha win from the constituency. Bengaluru Rural SP C.K. Baba shared that the excise department had given permission for this and the police were instructed to take care of the arrangements. Days after BSP Tamil Nadu chief K. Armstrong was murdered by a group of men outside his house in Chennai, whole scam angle has emerged in connection with his murder. Tamil Nadu Congress President Selvapuram Thagai K. said that during Armstrong's funeral, he heard people talk about the Arudra gold scam. He questioned the connection between the murder and the scam and demanded a thorough investigation.
What connection with Arudra gold and the BSP state president Armstrong and Arcade Suresh? So that should investigate. What we are telling, we will go all views.
A speeding van carrying school students overturned in Surat's Molad village, where there were around 9 children in the van, out of which 6 have sustained minor injuries. MOS Praful Pansaria assured strict action in today's incident. He also said that the parents should file complaint of such van drivers who drive rashly and risk the lives of children before the police. Parts of Maharashtra are experiencing heavy rainfall. Several areas are waterlogged and movement of cars has been affected. Many flights have been cancelled and Mumbai has been put on a red alert. Chief Minister Eknath Shinde said that the senior BMC officials are present at all waterlogging prone spots in the city and that the State Disaster Management Authority as well as the NDRF and the BMC are on alert. NDRF teams have reached all 3 coastal districts in the state, and Army, Navy and Air Force are also in a state of alert. Getting in updates in the Kulgam encounter, which went on for the last 3 days, apart from whatever ammunition that has been recovered from the 6 terrorists that were neutralized. Now, information comes in that the first hideout was in the residence of Yawar, while the second hideout in Chinigam was in the residence of OGW or overground worker Mushtaq Bhatt. They had been using these hideouts for many months. Have a look at this report.
को हमें टेररिस्ट के मूवमेंट की एक सटीक खबर चिनीगाम इलाके में मिली और खबर मिलते ही 6 तारीख की 1500 बजे शाम तक कॉर्डन लग चुका था। 24 घंटे चले इस ऑपरेशन में 4 टेररिस्ट मारे गए। ये ऑपरेशन कंक्लूड करने के बाद सर्च के दौरान हमें तकरीबन 6 केजी की एक आईडी भी मिली, जिसे कोलैटरल डैमेज को ध्यान में रखते हुए तत्कालीन तौर पे इन सिटू वहीं बर्बाद कर दिया गया।
Right, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has landed in Moscow. He was given a ceremonial welcome at the airport, with first Deputy Prime Minister of Russia receiving him. Also a festive welcome by the Indian community at Hotel Carlton, where Prime Minister is put up. In fact, let's look at some reports coming in from Moscow about Prime Minister's visit and the manner in which Russia is going about it. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a 2-day official visit to Russia. Prime Minister will meet Russian President Vladimir Putin. Prime Minister would meet Russian President Vladimir Putin during the visit and hold 22nd India-Russia annual summit talks. The two leaders are expected to discuss various issues ranging from global issues to relations between the two countries. A discussion on the Russia-Ukraine war is also on the cards, and it is expected that the Prime Minister will call for an early discharge of the Indians stuck in conflict. As PM Modi lands in Moscow, Russian artists beat dhol and said they are happy to welcome the Indian Prime Minister to their country.
हमें श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के स्वागत में नृत्य करने का अवसर मिला।
Hello, my name is Irina. I'm from Moscow. I'm very happy and excited to perform here, and I very like to dance.
Members of the Indian diaspora say they are excited to meet Prime Minister during his official visit. PM will also interact with the Indian community living in Moscow. Young members of the Indian diaspora in Moscow raised slogans of Vande Mataram and cheered Prime Minister Modi as he arrived. They called Prime Minister an inspiration for youth and shared their excitement to meet the leader.
India-Russia relations will be in the spotlight as the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi pays a state visit to Moscow on Monday and Tuesday, marking his first visit to Russia since 2019. Now, we could see outcomes that will impact the geopolitical landscape. You can follow the latest updates right here on RT International in cooperation with India's Republic TV channel. We've got every angle covered for you, so make sure you don't miss it.
In his third term, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chooses Russia for his first bilateral visit. All eyes are going to be on the Modi-Putin camaraderie. We get you all the live updates here from Moscow in collaboration with Russia Today.
PhonePe proudly presents Share.Market. Open a Demat account by 31st July and get zero brokerage till 31st December on F&O and intraday, equity delivery, wealth baskets, and zero account opening fees. Download Share.Market and start investing. Investments in the securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
आज golf खेला मेरे डेबिट कार्ड पे फ्री एक्सेस है ना मूवीज ओटीटी सब पे
कैसे ब्रो तू जानता है इसका बैंक कौन है SBI गेट अ वाइड रेंज ऑफ बेनिफिट्स विद SBI वेल्थ इसे कहते हैं सॉलिड बैंक की सॉलिड बैंकिंग
Character, the taste of success.
Hotel Management with AI. Join International Institute of Hotel Management.
सर मेंबरशिप होगा
पर मैंने तो यूज भी नहीं की
फिर तो वेस्ट हो गई
कैरी फॉरवर्ड कर दो
ऐसा कहाँ होता है
मेरी नीवा भोपाल हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी में
मतलब
It lets me carry forward my unutilized base coverage to the next year.
जिंदगी को क्लेम कर ले
American Pistachio presents Cracking News of the Hour.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 private university in the recently released Education World Rankings. A testimony to Amity's globally benchmarked standards in education.
The path to Mars is beset with challenges. And the crew and their families have committed a year of their lives in service to NASA, to the country, and to humanity's exploration of space. And so thank you. Congratulations and thank you to the crew for putting your previous careers on pause for a year and committing yourself to research that is going to enable our future exploration of space.
Hello. It's actually just so wonderful to be able to say hello to you all. Chapio 1 has been a unique experience with great challenges, joys and sorrows, and a lot of hard work, with a fair bit of fun thrown in as well. I wish to thank the crew, my friends and family, and my partner Elliot, who told me not to name drop him, but he deserves it. During this mission, these people have given an incredible richness of shared experience and conversation, a gift of love and support that made this year possible. I am humbled that being away on a one-year Mars analog brought me closer to those I was with and those I left back at home.
chooses Russia for his first bilateral visit. From the United States to China, the world looks on at the Putin-Modi camaraderie. Join me, Sujarita Kukreti, live from Moscow as I report for Republic TV.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 private university in the recently released Education World Rankings. A testimony to Amity's globally benchmarked standards in education.
As the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi pays a state visit to Moscow on Monday and Tuesday, marking his first visit to Russia since 2019. Now, we could see outcomes that will impact the geopolitical landscape. You can follow the latest updates right here on RT International in cooperation with India's Republic TV channel. We've got every angle covered for you, so make sure you don't miss it.
In his third term, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chooses Russia for his first bilateral visit. all eyes are going to be on the Modi-Putin camaraderie. We get you all the live updates here from Moscow in collaboration with Russia Today.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
This is Republic, and you're watching a very special episode of This Is Exclusive. Coming together of two leading broadcasters, Russia Today and Republic TV, as we get you an unmatched coverage of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Russia. And why exactly this is being touted as a historic visit. We'll take you through all the latest details. Joining me from Moscow is my colleague and our senior editor, Sucharita, who's going to be joining us on this broadcast. We're also going to get you the whole host of reporters and anchors joining from Russia Today to give you the Kremlin perspective. Over the next 20 minutes, we're going to take you through the details of why this visit is being touted extremely significant, keeping in mind that this is Prime Minister's first bilateral that's going to take place after the swearing-in ceremony has taken place. In fact, there is a marked shift from the traditional way that Indian Prime Ministers have conducted in the past, choosing their neighboring countries as the first visit, but the Prime Minister putting a stamp on that 7-decade-old relationship between India and Russia. First, take a look at this detailed report, and then we begin our special broadcast with Russia Today.
Moscow is gearing up to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This is the first Indian Prime Minister's visit to Russia since 2015. Prime Minister Narendra Modi landed in Moscow minutes ago and will attend a dinner hosted by President Vladimir Putin later today.
We've made it very clear that the Prime Minister in his third term has chosen Russia for his first bilateral visit, which really puts down the importance that he has given to the India-Russia ties. We know that this came as a surprise to many Western countries after the sanctions that had been put on Russia. But the Prime Minister very, very clear, and the Indian government very clear, that it wants to tread the path of very clearly strategic autonomy that India has been following, and it will do so in the future as well.
PM Modi will also take part in the 22nd annual India-Russia summit, which will begin tomorrow. PM Modi will also address the Indian diaspora in Moscow tomorrow morning. Republic also spoke to the members of the Indian diaspora who are eagerly awaiting Prime Minister's address.
I am joined by a group of Indian students here in Russia who are going to be performing for the Prime Minister Narendra Modi once he lands here. So let me speak to a few. How many days have you been preparing for this performance?
Well, to be honest, we've only been preparing for like 4 days roughly, but we've been waiting for quite a while now.
You guys are experts. You don't need much practice.
We try to make it our best, the best we can do.
So is there, when I just heard you all boys and girls saying Bharat Mata Ki Jai, if you can just sway it for our camera, it'll be wonderful.
Bharat Mata Ki Jai! It's not just Indians. The locals in Moscow are also gearing up for the 22nd annual India-Russia summit.
Where are you from in Russia?
We're from Moscow, but in our team have got girls from all over Russia. We're so happy that Prime Minister is coming here and that relations between India and Russia becoming more strong. It really makes inspiration in all fields, not only culture, which we like, but also in economy, in travel, everything.
Beautiful. And where are you also from Moscow?
Yeah, Jiha.
Do you love wearing this jewelry, the dresses, the Indian dresses? How do you find them?
Yes, this is the main point why I adore Indians so much.
All eyes are on Moscow as two of the biggest leaders re-elected to power are all set to meet in what promises to be a momentous occasion to further enhance the historic ties between India and Russia.
Well, the sheer number of times that both the leaders have met in the past is a clear indication of how both the leaders view this entire relationship. 16 times that the Prime Minister has met President Putin, and as far as bilateral talks and various annual summits are concerned, 21 times India and Russia have come together. But things have actually changed. Post the Ukraine war, in fact, India taking a neutral position, and the very fact that in the last few months itself, Moscow inching closer to Beijing. What does that essentially mean? Keeping in mind that there has been a heavy reliance on defense cooperation that India has had with Russia. But as Sucharita, things have been changing. Over the last 25 years, we have seen how India too is moving away from Russia towards United States of America when it comes to their defense understanding. But today, with the Prime Minister's visit, many would say that perhaps India would be playing a pivotal role in diffusing the ongoing conflict. What's the mood like? What's on the agenda?
Shravan, it is very, very clear. It is very, very clear. I'm getting some audio that if it could be corrected. It's very clear that there is a mood, there is a thinking that the Indian Prime Minister can diffuse tensions between Ukraine and Russia. Now there is an affirmation when it comes to President Putin when you saw his remark on the Donald Trump comment. Now he very clearly wants this conflict to be ending, but there is required a mediation. Can Narendra Modi play that role of that mediation? Can Narendra Modi be the leader who can mediate between Ukraine and Russia? Now, we'll have to go back to the G20 summit. There was a lot of pressure by the G20 states to invite Ukraine to the G20 meet, which was in India. But since President Putin wasn't coming to the G20, Ukraine wasn't there. Now, this is a balancing act that India has been doing. Now, in the presence of President Putin on the sidelines of the SCO meeting, when Narendra Modi had met Vladimir Putin, he had very clearly spoken in his presence that war is not a solution. So, very clearly, Russia knows the stand that India has vis-a-vis war. Russia knows the stand that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has vis-a-vis dialogue between countries to de-escalate any situation. And the Indian administration has been doing that, be it the Israel-Palestine situation or the Ukraine-Russia war, that is the military conflict that they call it here, has been ongoing. And now the Prime Minister is here. There has been a political attack back home on Narendra Modi, saying that he should be speaking about peace when he comes here. But it is not just a political attack. Many believe that if there is an individual or there is a country that can play a pivotal role in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, it is India and it is Narendra Modi. Shravan.
Well, Sucharita, I'll request you to stay on with us. We'll also try and go across to our colleagues in Russia today in a short while from now. But before that, let me take all our viewers of This Is Exclusive through the details of what's really on the agenda. Because remember, as far as this trade talks that are likely to take place and several other issues, I'll just quickly take you through a snapshot of what we know so far in terms of the bilateral talk that's going to take place. Now, New Delhi-Moscow trade talks. I'll stay with this and just put this into perspective. Now, as far as the trade target is concerned, that was set at about $30 billion till about 2025. That has already crossed. In the financial year between 2023 and 2024, it has crossed the 60 billion mark. That in itself shows where it stands today. Let's take you through the other big agenda as far as Prime Minister Modi and Putin's meeting is concerned. It's also about pharma exports. Now remember, the trade balance was in fact heavily towards Russia, with India basically importing roughly about $60 billion in terms of oil and various other items. But that, remember, is also now changing, with India positioning itself as far as pharma exports are concerned. So that's going to be another key issue. Now, this is perhaps the most sticking point, the bone of contention, because this is something that has irked India. The very fact that you've had at least 40 Indians. 40 Indians who have been taken to Russia. In fact, they were misled and finally landed up taking up the war in Ukraine. They were fighting on behalf of the Russian forces. In fact, you've had the Ministry of External Affairs saying that all efforts are now being made to bring back the Indians safely. This too perhaps could figure in the agenda. Apart from that, of course, the focus is also about defense cooperation. Let's not forget that India and Russia have already signed multiple agreements, starting with that S-400 missile, and the fact that you've also had understanding with regards to Su-30 and a few other items too. And let's not forget about the licensed production that has also taken place between India and Russia as far as the T-90 tanks are concerned. I'll go back to Sucharita. She's tracking the visit of the Prime Minister very closely. Sucharita, the other focus essentially being as to how exactly is the West really viewing. In fact, it's very uncharacteristic when you've had a nation actually putting out a statement. In fact, the Kremlin went on to say that the West perhaps is looking at this entire visit of the Prime Minister from the eye of jealousy. And very bizarre statements have actually come in from some leaders, but some do say that it's in the interest of India.
Now, Shahan, it is very important to understand what India means to the geopolitical setting. Russia, what you I'm just reiterating what you said right now, has said that the Western powers in America are jealous of this meeting between Putin and Modi. So this very clearly shows that Russia is viewing this meeting as a very, very significant and important one, and it knows that the Western world is watching as Indian Prime Minister comes to Moscow. Then the Americans saying that they completely trust India in the decisions it's going to take. Now, the Americans are constantly being asked about the Modi-Putin meeting. They know that they have an ally in India, but they know that the Indians also and the Indian administration is also holding hands with Russia. But the Americans very clearly saying that they trust the Indian administration. Now that is also a kind of signaling at this time when the two leaders are meeting. Now the Chinese issuing a statement saying that India is just treading the American path. Now, when I say the Chinese, I'm only speaking about Global Times. That is very clearly saying that Indians are only treading the American path. Now, what does that show? It shows that India is at the center of every statement that's been given out. So India is at the center of this geopolitical turn that is happening. And the Indian leader and the Indian administration being lured by each and every country. We know that right now, where the Prime Minister is at the Carlton, I'm present at that very spot. He's just reached and he's going to be soon heading for that private dinner with Putin. Now, a lot of talks, a lot of agendas which are not formalized happen at these private dinners. So, very important meeting between the two state heads tonight, and then there will be the bilaterals. So, for sure, the Western world, the Americans, the Chinese eyeing this particular meeting. And when I say this with full confidence that India is the power to watch out for, and that the nations of the world understand. And that is precisely why each and every country has been issuing statements vis-a-vis the Indian Prime Minister's visit to Russia and his meeting Putin. Even Russia understands the importance of the Indian hand reaching out to it at a time when most have completely put out restrictions and have put Russia at bay. India is still reaching out to Russia, and that means a lot for this Russian administration.
Well, thank you very much, Sucharita, for joining us on this broadcast. I'll request you to stay on with us as we take our viewers through more details that are emerging right now. But let's also take you through what's the reaction really coming in from the Indian diaspora. Typical to what we have seen with every visit of the Prime Minister, it's also seen that same kind of excitement really coming in from the Indian diaspora. A short while back, you've also had the Prime Minister putting out a tweet where he says that it's a memorable welcome in Moscow. We've seen those images coming in of the diaspora coming together and greeting the Prime Minister. A while back, we've also spoken to the diaspora there. How exactly are they really viewing this visit of the Prime Minister? Let's not forget the Prime Minister in the past too has also reflected on the fact that the relationship between India and Russia has deepened also because of the people-to-people ties.
हमारे साथ इस वक्त इंडिया ओवरसीज रशिया में बीजेपी के अध्यक्ष सैमी कोटवानी जी हैं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमें समय देने के लिए कोटवानी जी। और मुझे बताइए कि आज प्रधानमंत्री भारत के रूस पहुंच रहे हैं, मॉस्को पहुंच रहे हैं, इस दौरे का महत्व क्या है आप लोगों के लिए, खासकर जो यहाँ भारतीय रूस के हैं?
देखिए, हमारे लिए तो बहुत बड़ी बात हो गई है कि प्रधानमंत्री ने इसे पहली जगह चुनी है तीसरे बार आने के बाद, क्योंकि है ना, ये हम नेक्स्ट 5 साल तक हम चिल्लाते रहेंगे। और ये जो सच्चाई है कि पीएम हमारे पास आए थे, रशियंस के लिए तो और बड़ी बात है, क्योंकि वो हमेशा सोचते थे कि सबसे जिम्मेदार भागीदार हमारा हिस्सेदार कौन हो सकता है, वो है रशिया। रशिया के लिए इंडियन से ज़्यादा कोई भागीदारी में नहीं है, और वो एक बहुत अच्छा दोस्त ढूंढ रहे थे, और ये तो प्रूव हो गया कि इनसे अच्छा तो दोस्त कोई हो ही नहीं सकता है। हमारे यहाँ पे सब लोग कहते हैं कि पुतिन और मोदी जी है ना, वो कुंभ के मेले में बिछड़े 2 भाई है।
अच्छा, ये आप लोग कहते हैं?
या रूस में सब जानते हैं कि मोदी और पुतिन 84 इयर्स बैक, 44 साल 84 साल पहले कुंभ के मेले में 2 भाई बिछड़ गए। उसमें से एक रशिया में पैदा हो गया जो व्लादिमीर पुतिन बन गए, और जो इंडिया में पैदा हो गए वो नरेंद्र भाई मोदी बन गए। अब इनकी खासियत क्या है? दोनों पॉलिटिक्स 2000 में आते हैं, दोनों अब तक पॉलिटिक्स में है। 3 महीने के फर्क में दोनों पॉलिटिक्स में आए थे। 2024 में दोनों ने इलेक्शन जीता है, राइट? और दोनों एक ही बात करते हैं। पुतिन जी कहते हैं मेड इन रशिया, और मोदी जी कहते हैं मेड इन इंडिया। ये दोनों सगे भाइयों की कहानी है।
तो आपको लगता है कि ये जो एक भावना है दोनों की ही अपने देशों के प्रति, ये उनको बॉन्ड करती? क्योंकि हम बहुत बार उनकी पर्सनल केमिस्ट्री की बात करते हैं, आपने तो दोनों राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्षों को बहुत करीब से देखा।
यस, ये इसमें कोई शक की बात नहीं। दोनों लोग की सोच एक ही है, वो अपने देश के लिए पहले काम करते हैं, देश हित के लिए काम करते हैं। अगर आप वॉर जोन में आइए, अगर आपको पता हो रशिया और यूक्रेन का अब जो चल रहा है, उसके बीच में आप मॉस्को में आए, आपको ऐसा एक पल के भी ऐसा कुछ लगा कि कुछ हो रहा है? नहीं, वो तो बॉर्डर पे जो हो रहा है वो बहुत ही हम क्या, पूरी दुनिया 2 भाइयों को लड़ते हुए नहीं समझ सकती है। इसके लिए हम अमेरिका को दाद देंगे, कैसे 2 भाइयों को लड़ा सकते हैं।
अच्छा, ये आपको लग रहा है अमेरिका दोनों भाइयों को लड़ाने की कोशिश कर रहा है? देखिए, इस वक्त नजरें अमेरिका की भी होंगी, चीन की भी होंगी। नरेंद्र मोदी रूस आ रहे हैं, लेकिन ये कहा जाता है कि चीन और रूस की दोस्ती भी बहुत ज्यादा आगे बढ़ चढ़ कर बोल रही है।
नहीं, रूस और चीन की कोई दोस्ती नहीं है, उनमें बिजनेस के संबंध बहुत ज्यादा हैं, उनका व्यापार बहुत अच्छा चल रहा है। लेकिन रशियन से अगर पूछोगे ना, अगर व्यापार करने के लिए उनको चीन से कोई एतराज नहीं है, लेकिन वो लोग विश्वास नहीं करते हैं। आज भी वो हमें हिंदुस्तानियों में विश्वास ढूंढ रहे हैं, और उनको पता है कि अगर उनको व्यापार करना है तो उनको सिर्फ हिंदुस्तानियों से ही करना है। और
आपको लगता है वहाँ एक ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट है और यहाँ पर एक ट्रस्ट सरप्लस है?
यस, हमारे बीच में ट्रस्ट की तो कोई बात ही नहीं है। मैं यहाँ पे रहता हूँ, मुझे नहीं लगता जितना रशियंस हमें प्यार करते हैं शायद कोई किसी को करता होगा।
और आप एक झंडा भी अभी बात कर रहे थे किसी से फोन पर, तो एक लंबा झंडा जिसमें रूस भी होगा और भारत भी होगा, उसके बारे में जरा बताइए।
देखिए, ये साल 77 साल है हमारे दोस्ती के और डिप्लोमेटिक टाइज के। तो हम चाहते हैं कि 77 साल लंबा वाला हम झंडा बनाया जाए, उतने लंबा मीटर वाला एक झंडा बनाया जाएगा।
और ये कहाँ लहराया जाएगा?
एग्जैक्टली प्रधानमंत्री में आएंगे जहाँ पे आ रहे हैं।
प्रधानमंत्री सैमी कोटवानी जी उस वेलकमिंग पार्टी में भी होंगे जब वो कार्ल्टन पहुंचेंगे, तो जरा उसके बारे में भी बता दीजिए।
यस, हम एम्बेसी के बहुत सारा शुक्रिया करना चाहेंगे कि उन लोगों ने हमें ये मौका दिया है, और हम लोग 350 लोग के साथ उधर पहुंच रहे हैं। बहुत सारे प्ले कार्ड बनाए गए हैं, और इंडियंस रशियन डांसर आ रहे हैं वहाँ पे, कला, वो लोग अपना कला भी दिखाएंगे। सो इट विल बी वेरी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। बॉलीवुड, भरतनाट्यम सब होगा।
अच्छा, आपने एक चिट्ठी भी लिखी है व्लादिमीर पुतिन को, रूसी राष्ट्रपति को, रशिया में एक मंदिर की मांग करते हुए।
देखिए, मैं पहला हिंदुस्तानी हूँ जिसको रशियन पासपोर्ट मिला है, बिगर रशियन बीबी के।
अच्छा,
मुझसे पहले जितनों को भी पासपोर्ट मिला था उनके पास रशियन बीबी थी। मैं पहला हिंदुस्तानी हूँ जिसको रशियन पासपोर्ट मिला था बिगर रशियन बीबी के। तो मेरा हक बनता है कि मुझे अपनी जगह होनी चाहिए जहाँ पे मैं जाके प्रार्थना कर सकूं। तो उसी रिक्वेस्ट में मैंने उन्हें कहा था, और कोविड के समय में हमने 25 लोगों को यहाँ पे, हमारे मित्र लोग जो गुजर गए थे, तो उसमें हमने उन सबको लूज किया था। तो हमारे पास मंदिर नहीं था, बहुत दुख भरी बात थी, तो मैंने सोचा कि एटलीस्ट मरने पे कोई तो जगह हो जहाँ पे अपना सर टेका जाए। अच्छे टाइमों में तो सब
ये जो बात उन्होंने कही है, ये क्योंकि अयोध्या में एक मंदिर बना, उसके बाद अबू धाबी का जो मंदिर, जहां पर वहां पर भी मैं गई थी कोटवानी जी, और वो अबू धाबी का जो मंदिर है, जब आप उसे देखते हैं तब शायद पूरे दुनिया भर में जहां भारतीय बसते हैं उनमें एक आस जगी है कि उनका भी एक प्रार्थना स्थल जिन जगहों पर नहीं है वहां।
और हमने हिंदू मंदिर की बात की है। हमने ना कोई कृष्णा, ना कोई शिवा, ना कोई रामा की बात की है। वी हैव टॉक इंडियन हिंदू मंदिर। रशियंस को मैंने समझाया, देखिए हमारी संस्कृति पहले आई है। क्रिश्चियनिटी, ऑर्थोडॉक्स क्रिश्चियंस, मुस्लिम्स और सब बाद में आए। जो आपसे पहले आए उसके ऊपर तो आपके ऊपर कोई एतराज ही नहीं होना चाहिए। अगर कोई बाद में आए, आप उसके बारे में सोचो वो सही है कि गलत है, लेकिन हम तो पहले से हैं, तो वो मानते हैं कि हमारा ये होना चाहिए।
So you heard there the Indians residing in Russia, they're expecting some big headlines from this meeting between Putin and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, especially related to the ruble-rupia trade, and because they are a thriving community here and they are giving full onus to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's regime and to the Putin Russia regime here. Now, very significantly, I'm at the Carlton where the Prime Minister is staying, and he will be leaving shortly for that private dinner with the Russian President. He's going to be meeting the Russian President today. As Shravan was pointing out earlier, the number of times that the two state heads have met shows the significance of these Russia-India ties. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi has not been to Moscow for the last 9 years, but he's met President Putin on the sidelines of SCO, and he's also been to Russia in 2019 to Vladivostok. But this meeting is very, very specific in its agenda. It's very, very clearly talking about the bilateral ties between the two countries, and that is what both the countries have been speaking about: how to take the energy cooperation further, how to be able to draw a conclusion to the 5th generation fighter jets deal, and we are expecting that in this meeting. So that is going to be a significant announcement if that happens after this Modi-Putin meeting. And we are going to be slipping into a short break.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 private university in the recently released Education World Rankings. A testimony to Amity's globally benchmarked standards in education.
We have 120 hostages still in Gaza, and the government is doing everything they can not to get them out. The soldiers, the army, all of the heads of security have said that we do not need to be in Gaza anymore. It's time to move on. It's time to We have 120 hostages still in Gaza, and the government is doing everything they can not to get them out. The soldiers, the army, all of the heads of security have said that we do not need to be in Gaza anymore. It's time to move on. It's time to bring these people home, to do what the country...
A country that has been completely isolated by the global world is going to be at the center of this entire global spectrum, because India is very clearly reaching out to Russia at a time when it has been sanctioned by the Western world. There are multiple perspectives to the Putin-Modi meeting, and they're going to all unfold here at Moscow as we report live for Republic TV.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 private university in the recently released Education World Rankings. A testimony to Amity's globally benchmarked standards in education.
हाँ, बहुत ज्यादा बड़े हुए हैं। मैं हर 3 दिन के बाद आती हूँ।
कारण यही है मैडम, पीछे से आलू आ रहा नहीं है, स्टोर वालों ने रोक रखा आलू। भैया ऐसे तो लगाएं, महंगाई तो जोरों पे ही है। टमाटर भी अच्छे खासे जा रहे हैं।
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Prime Minister Modi lands in Moscow for the first time since 2015, and he will attend a dinner hosted by President Putin later tonight. PM Modi greeted with a ceremonial guard of honor as he lands in Moscow to attend the 22nd India-Russia annual summits. Prime Minister lands in Moscow with big bilateral on the cards. All eyes now on the historic Modi-Putin meeting. Shinde Sena leader Rajesh Shah granted bail in the Worli hit and run case. Driver remanded to one-day police custody. Top court dismisses plea by Mamata's government challenging High Court order over CBI probe in Sandesh Khali. And Supreme Court asks the CBI to file a status report on the investigation in the NEET scam so far. Bite? All right, in the Worli hit and run case, the accused father Rajesh Shah has been granted bail by a court in Mumbai, even as Mumbai police continues to look out for Mihir Shah, the son of Rajesh Shah, who happens to be a Shiv Sena leader. In fact, the driver who was accompanying Mihir Shah continues to remain in police custody and in fact has been granted custodial interrogation by the court. This even as reports suggest that Mihir Shah has been on the run and might have communicated with his girlfriend apart from his mother and sister, and so the police questioning those three women. I'm told
We have Meenakshi, who earlier spoke to the family of the victims. Let's listen into that.
मैं अभी वही सीजे हाउस के सामने खड़ी हूँ जहाँ पे दर्दनाक हादसा हुआ था कल सुबह 5:30 बजे यही सीजे हाउस के सामने से जा रहे थे वो दंपति जो ससून डॉक से फिश खरीद के लेके जा रहे थे घर। ये सीजे हाउस से जो रास्ता जाता है वर्ली सीलिंग की तरफ, वही जा रहे थे ये दंपति और ठीक इसी जगह वो BMW गाड़ी आया, पीछे से स्कूटर को धक्का दिया, वो लोग ऊपर से नीचे गिरे और गाड़ी के डॉक में वो लोग, बोनेट में वो लोग गिरे। उसके बाद क्या हुआ, एक दर्दनाक हादसा, जैसा कि रिपब्लिक टीवी को बताया। उन्होंने जो खुद थे स्कूटर में, जिनका मौत हो गया, कावेरी जी, उनके पति बताते हैं यहाँ से ही एकदम सीजे हाउस के सामने से जब वो गिरे गाड़ी के बोनेट पे, तभी वो जो गाड़ी चला रहा था आरोपी मिहिर शाह, उसने घसीट के इसी रास्ते से सीधा लेके गया गाड़ी जो जाता है वर्ली सीलिंग की तरफ, जो यहाँ से 2 किलोमीटर का रास्ता है, डिस्टेंस है। यहाँ से 2 किलोमीटर तक गाड़ी घसीट के वो लेके गया और वो गाड़ी में कावेरी जी गाड़ी के बोनेट से नीचे गिरी और उनको घसीट के सीधा लेके गया। जैसा कावेरी जी के पति का बोलना है, अगर वो यहाँ पे इस जगह पे गाड़ी रोक देता, शायद कावेरी जी आज बच जाते, ये दर्दनाक हादसा नहीं होता।
In fact, that was Meenakshi giving ground report from the spot where the accident took place. She earlier also spoke to the victim family. Let's listen in.
हम अभी वोरली कोलीवारा में हैं, उनके घर में जिनका मौत हो गया है ये वोरली एक्सीडेंट में, कावेरी नाकवा के घर में हैं हम, और उनके पति भी हैं हमारे साथ। जानने की कोशिश करेंगे कैसे हुआ ये हादसा। दादा, आप अभी तो बात करने का आपका ये नहीं है, मैं समझ सकती हूँ कि क्या गुजरा है आपके ऊपर, आपके फैमिली के ऊपर। जानना चाहती हूँ थोड़ा अगर बोले कि कैसे ये इतना बड़ा हादसा हो गया।
हमारा घर का मच्छी का धंधा है, हम फिशरमैन है। हम अभी बारिश में हमारा बोट ऊपर रहता है, मच्छी पकड़ने के हमको परमिशन नहीं रहती, इसलिए हम लोग सवेरे उठ के क्रॉफिट मार्केट जाके मच्छी खरीदते हैं और वो ही मच्छी हम लोग बाज़ार में बेच देते हैं। तो ऐसा हमारा रूटीन फ्राइडे, वेडनेसडे और संडे ऐसा रहता है। तो हम लोग हर रूटीन की तरफ से हम लोग वही डेली का हम लोग करते थे, वही रूटीन के हिसाब से हम लोग क्रॉफिट मार्केट गए। क्रॉफिट सवेरे 4 बजे क्रॉफिट मार्केट गए। क्रॉफिट मार्केट में हम लोग मच्छी लिया और हम लोग पेडर रोड तरफ से आ रहे थे। पेडर रोड की तरफ से आ रहे थे 35 किलोमीटर्स, यानी अपना जो ये रहता है ना, स्पीड रहता है ना, वो 35 का स्पीड था। हम लोग एक किनारे से आ रहे थे, पीछे से अचानक धार से आवाज़ आया, हम लोग पागल हो गए, दोनों उड़ गए आसमान में। आसमान में उड़ने के बाद पूरा उसके ही बोनेट पे गिर गए। बोनेट पे गिरने के बाद उसने ब्रेक मार दिया ज़ोर से। ब्रेक मारने के बाद मैं लेफ्ट तरफ गिर गया और वो चक्के के नीचे गिर गई। उसने 1 मिनट भी नहीं लगाया और उसको लेके इतना स्पीड में उसका टायर ऐसा जोर से ये हो गया और धुआं आ गया टायर का, इतने जोर से वो गाड़ी भगाया। मैं उसको चिल्लाया, रुक 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 नहीं रुका। 1 सेकंड में मेरा पूरा परिवार खत्म। 1 सेकंड में पूरा परिवार खत्म हो गया। मेरे बच्चे हालात हो गए। वही हमारे परिवार की सब थी, हमारा परिवार में वही सब थी, सब वही देखती थी। वो वही मैं मच्छी मारता था, वो उसका बेच के हम लोग को पैसा मिलता था। वो थोड़ा भी नहीं रुका, थोड़ा भी नहीं। सीजा हाउस से लेके उसने जो गाड़ी चलाया, मैं उसके पीछे टैक्सी लेके दौड़ा, मगर वो मिला नहीं मेरे को। आधा यानी कम से कम आधा किलोमीटर तक मैं गया, वो मिला नहीं मेरे को। मैं वही से टैक्सी घुमा के पुलिस स्टेशन पे आया और पुलिस लोगों को बताया। फिर 15 मिनट में मेरे को पता चला कि सीलिंग के इधर उसने खींच के उधर फेंक दिया।
तभी रुक जाता तो जान से बच,
रुक जाता तो उसको कुछ नहीं हुआ था, कुछ नहीं हुआ था। मेरे पीठ पे गिरी थी वो, बोनेट पे हम लोग ऊपर उड़े ना, वो मेरे पीठ पे गिरी थी। उसने उसको गाली दी, रुक रुक, वो रुका नहीं, वो चिल्ला रही थी, कोई सुना नहीं, कोई सुना नहीं। वो जोर जोर से चिल्ला रही थी मेरे सामने से, परपट के ऐसा घसीट के लेके गया ना, कोई जानवर को भी नहीं लेके जाता, ऐसा घसीट के लेके गया। क्या करूं, मैं चिल्ला रहा है, रुको रुको रुको, कुछ नहीं रुका।
28 साल का लड़का है, वही चला रहा था गाड़ी, मिहिर शाह।
हाँ, नीतीश शाह करके, मेरे को मालूम नहीं, नीतीश शाह,
मिहिर शाह।
हाँ, वो नाम नहीं था मेरे को मालूम, मगर जो ऐसा पतला सा ऐसा ये था, उसका नाक ऐसा थोड़ा सा लंबा सा था, ऐसा और ऐसा थोड़ा दाढ़ी था उसको। मैंने उसको, जब मैं गिरा ना, तभी मैं हाथ मारा, तभी उसको देखा, तो उसके बगल में हम लोग गिरा तो उसका कांच टूटा था, तो उसको मैं इस साइड के आदमी को नहीं देखा, मगर जो गाड़ी चला था उसको देखा था।
तो आपने चिल्लाया, वो सुना तो
चिल्लाया, हाथ मारा, फिर भी नहीं रुका। वो ऐसा इतना स्पीड में दौड़ा है कि उसको खींच के लेके गया।
कितना दूर लेगा खींच के?
सीजिया उससे तो आप बोले तो सीलिंग का कोना कितना हो गया? सीजिया उस कहाँ है?
4-5 किलोमीटर।
5 किलोमीटर खींच के लेके गया है। बताओ, अपन को अगर थोड़ा सा भी खरोच आया तो आदमी क्या करता है, उसका क्या हालत हो गया होगा, बताओ। हाँ, ये बड़े लोग रहते हैं, हाँ, हम गरीब लोग हैं, हम गरीब लोगों को क्या करेंगे बताओ ना। हाँ, हमारे पीछे कौन है? ये लोग क्या अभी खत्म हो जाएगा, थोड़े दिन करेंगे, खत्म हो जाएगा, हम वैसे ही पड़े रहेंगे, कोई पूछने वाला नहीं गरीबों को।
आपके साथ ही आपकी वाइफ ये काम करती थी, जहाँ मछली का कारोबार संभालती थी, अब ये घर का क्या होगा, क्या आपने क्या सोचा?
नहीं संभालने वाला, अभी मेरा बच्चा अनाथ हो गया। हम लोग का पूरा हमारा पूरा परिवार तहस-नहस हो गया, क्या करूं। हमारे करती कर रही थी वही थी सब, उसकी वजह से हम लोग सब।
घर का भी संभालती थी, बाहर का भी काम काज संभालती,
सब वही करती थी। मेरा काम था मच्छी ला के देना और उसका मच्छी बेचना। तो उसके बावजूद वो हमारा तो मच्छी थोड़ा आता था समुंदर का, मगर वो नहीं रहता तो हम लोग मार्केट से खरीदते थे और वो बेचते, हमारा उधर निर्वाह होता था।
अभी घर में कौन कौन है आप है?
मेरा लड़की, मेरा लड़का और मैं, 3 ही जने हम लोग, उसके अलावा कोई नहीं।
तो आरोपी के पिता को अरेस्ट किया है, गाड़ी में जो थे उनको अरेस्ट किया, क्या चाहते हैं आप लोग, क्या चाहते?
मैं यही चाहता हूँ कि उसको फांसी की सजा हो। ऐसा कृत्य करने से अगर आदमी को नहीं पहचानता, जानवर की तरह सुलूक करता है, तो उसको फांसी होनी चाहिए, उसको जीने का हक नहीं। अगर मैं उसके घर वाले को अगर मैं ऐसा करूं तो मेरे साथ क्या होता था? अगर मैं वही मालिक रहता और मैं गाड़ी चलाता और मैं उसके लड़के को खींच के लेके जाता, तो मेरे साथ क्या करते थे वो लोग, ये मेरे को बताओ। उनको फांसी होनी चाहिए, फांसी का कुछ नहीं।
All right, Republic investigation team also spoke to the pub owner from where Meher Shah had left after partying. He gives crucial details that can help police piece together what exactly happened before the accident. Listen in.
करके गेस्ट ने बुकिंग किया था, वो हमारे यहाँ पे रेगुलर आता है सबका आईडी चेक हुआ है, उनके आईडीज़ अपन ने दे भी दिए हैं, ठीक है। जितना सर हमको आइडिया है, ये 11:08 को ये 4 लोगों का ग्रुप आया था। वो लोग बैठे थे, वो लोग ने खाना खाया, ड्रिंक किया एंड 11:14 को बिल पेमेंट ख़त्म कर दिया था एंड 11:26 को देवर आउट ऑफ द प्रीमाइसेस, ठीक है। जो लड़का मिहिर बोला जा रहा है उसने ड्रिंक भी नहीं किया है, खाली रेड बुल लिया है, ठीक है। वो डिटेल्स सीसीटीवी में पुलिस भी चेक कर रही है, उनके पास सारी डिटेल्स है और हमारे यहाँ से कोई इसका लेना नहीं है।
कितने लोग
सर ये आए थे मर्सिडीज़ गाड़ी में, एक्सीडेंट हुआ है BMW, जब गए भी थे तभी भी मर्सिडीज़ गाड़ी थी सर। तो हमारे यहाँ से गाड़ी, ड्राइवर, चालक किसी का कोई संबंध नहीं है। ये खाली दूसरे सब जो पॉलिटिकल चीज़ की वजह से एक रेस्टोरेंट ओनर को या हम रेस्टोरेंट को कंसीडर कर रहा है। एज़ पर लॉ, एज़ पर नॉर्म्स हमने सब किया है और कुछ भी इसमें आउट नहीं।
टोटल कितने लोग आए थे?
4 लोग आए।
उसमें कोई लेडीज भी शामिल थे?
नहीं, कोई भी नहीं था, सॉरी।
और आए थे मर्सिडीज से, लेकिन घटना BMW में हुई है।
हाँ,
यहाँ पे BMW थी क्या?
नहीं, खाली मर्सिडीज।
Well, let's look at some other stories from across the country in a Bharat 5-minute top wrap. Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde led a high-level meeting at the district control room in Mumbai to address the flood situation caused by heavy rains in the state. Present at the meeting were Mumbai Guardian Minister MP Lodha, Relief and Rehab Minister Anil Patil and other officials. The discussions were focused on assessing the impact and coordinating relief efforts to manage the flooding effectively, ensuring the safety and well-being of affected residents. Days after being sworn in as Jharkhand's Chief Minister for the third time, Hemant Soren won the floor test with 45 MLAs supporting him. He became the 13th Chief Minister on July 4, following his release from Birsa Munda jail on June 28 after securing bail in a money laundering case. This came after he resigned in January before his arrest, with Champai Soren serving briefly as Chief Minister. Soren, meanwhile, accused the BJP of false allegations, reaffirming his commitment to serving the people. He stated that his return would strengthen the JMM, which secured a majority in the 2019 Assembly elections with Congress and RJD and the allies. BJP leader Shehzad Poonawalla criticized Congress for allegedly celebrating India's T20 defeat against Zimbabwe. He claimed Congress supposes Prime Minister Narendra Modi so strongly that they wish for India's loss during T20 World Cup final against South Africa. After India's young team won by 100 runs against Zimbabwe, Poonawalla demanded an apology from the Congress, urging them to stop opposing the country just because they want to oppose Modi.
100 रन से हम जीते हैं तो आज शशि थरूर जी को बताना चाहिए, कांग्रेस को बताना चाहिए कि क्या वो माफ़ी मांगेंगे भारतीय टीम से। मोदी विरोध में कम से कम भारत के विरोध में मत उतरिए।
The IMD has issued an orange alert for Mumbai for July 9, predicting very heavy rains in the next 24 hours. The city experienced significant rainfall on Monday, causing traffic jams and waterlogging. IMD also recorded a lashing amount of rain between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. Moreover, the Central Railway General Manager reported over 300 mm of rain in 6 hours, leading to waterlogging and train disruptions. Flight operations were also affected and schools have been closed, with exams cancelled. The BMC reported heavy rainfall in various areas, leading to further waterlogging and disrupted train services. The IMD has further advised residents to stay indoors. Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami conducted a review meeting with officials from Kumaon Commissioner, District Magistrates of Champawat, Udham Singh Nagar and Pithoragarh regarding recent heavy rainfall in Uttarakhand. Emphasizing expedited relief operations and coordination among departments, Dhami also interacted with locals during his morning walk in Gopeshwar for feedback on state government initiatives. He directed district magistrates to deploy SDRF and NDRF teams, responding to predictions from the Meteorological Center of continued heavy rainfall until July 10, urging residents to remain cautious. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar expressed condolences for the 12 people who died due to lightning in Bihar's 7 districts. He announced an ex gratia of 4 lakh rupees each to the families of the deceased. Kumar emphasized caution during bad weather, urging residents to follow Disaster Management Department guidelines for safety. He conducted an aerial survey of river water levels in West Champaran, East Champaran and Gopalganj districts. Kumar's official statement and appeal underscored the state government's commitment to support affected families and ensure public safety during adverse weather conditions. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah launched new milk products under the Nandini Milk brand today. He also reviewed a meeting with district collectors and district panchayat chief executive officers, attended by ministers and officials including the Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar. Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar criticized the BJP over liquor distribution at a Thanksgiving event following BJP MP Dr. K. Sudhakar's win. He stated it to be a culture of the BJP and demanded from BJP National President J.P. Nadda that he respond on the issue.
So it is the culture of the BJP and Mr. Nadda ji, the national president. I don't want the local leaders to reply to it. I want the BJP president, national president to just reply to it. And it is the culture of the BJP.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
India and Thailand have started joint military exercises by the name of Maitri 2024, and they signify a pivotal step in enhancing bilateral military cooperation between the Indian Army and the Royal Thailand Army under United Nations Charter. Troops from both contingents were deeply engaged in intensive training sessions focused on honing skills in counter-insurgency and counter-terrorism operations conducted in diverse settings, including jungle warfare and urban environments. Well, moving on to some sad information coming in from Jammu, where an encounter broke out in the Katwa area earlier in the day, and reports suggest that there have been some loss of life in that encounter when an Indian Army convoy was targeted. These are pictures of that moment, and let's go to Gursimran. He's joining us live. I believe, Gursimran, this happened in the Machedi area of Katwa. Please tell us what more details can you share about this encounter? Who carried out this dastardly attack? Which terrorist organization has carried out this attack?
See, Abhishek, what we can confirm from our sources in both Indian Army and the Jammu and Kashmir Police that this is a freshly infiltrated group of Jaish-e-Mohammed that has carried out this attack on the Indian Army convoy. However, the attack did not succeed fully, as the terrorists were attempting that all the roughly 10 to 12 soldiers inside this vehicle, the army vehicle, the 2.5-ton vehicle they were traveling in, they wanted to take all these bullets onto this vehicle so that there is no life after this attack. But some troops of the Indian Army, they retaliated, after which the terrorists escaped. Unfortunately, there have been some loss to our side, and the Western Command of the Indian Army is expected to issue a statement shortly. It is expected as the Army headquarters have been briefed about the operation and the operational casualties that the Indian Army has suffered. In a short while from now, we expect that the Indian Army's Western Command will be issuing a statement, but this is a first major attack on the Indian Army's Western Command area, that is the Samba Katwa area. Earlier, we have seen that in the Chhatrgala area and also in the Gando there were 2 terror attacks, but that were in the area of the Northern Command. Now what is happening that the terrorists have taken the route of the Katwa and the Samba and also Bamyal in the Pathankot to infiltration into the Indian territory, and then what they are taking is that the Katwa route that is along with the Uj river towards the Doda district, wherein they are trying to establish a base. This group of terrorists, they carried out, it was a planned attack. However, it could not succeed fully, but yes, unfortunate news there is coming that there have have been lost to the Indian Army, the statement regarding which they will be issuing shortly. But one thing is very clear, Abhishek, that the infiltration, the large-scale infiltration, which we time and again have been saying that the agencies have reported it to the Union government, they are taking place, and the terror groups, they are at all-time high in the Jammu region. Roughly 50 Pakistani terrorists are active in the Jammu region. The number is all-time high. Reason being that the Pakistan has shifted its strategy from relying on the local terrorists, because they know that the locals are not turning into terrorism, and that's why they are sending a highly trained terrorist into the Indian territory, Abhishek.
All right, thank you so much, Gursimran. Hope that the news is bad from Jammu's Katwa, where an encounter has broken out in the Machedi area.
In his third term, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chooses Russia for his first bilateral visit. All eyes are going to be on the Modi-Putin camaraderie. We get you all the live updates here from Moscow live in collaboration with Russia Today.
हाँ, बहुत ज्यादा बड़े हुए हैं। मैं हर 3 दिन के बाद आती हूँ।
कारण यही है मैडम, पीछे से आलू आ रहा नहीं है, स्टोर वालों ने रोक रखा आलू। भैया ऐसे तो लगाएं, महंगाई तो जोरों पे ही है। टमाटर भी अच्छे खासे जा रहे हैं। भैया ऐसे तो लगाएं, महंगाई तो जोरों पे ही है। टमाटर भी अच्छे खासे जा रहे हैं। ये थोड़ा सा रुका हुआ था, लेकिन ये भी ऊपर हो जाता है, नीचे फिर नहीं आता।
1 महीने पहले करिए तो आज के रेट में कितना फर्क दिख रहा है?
इसमें जैसे आलू की बात करें तो कम से कम 15-1% का तो फर्क आ ही रहा है जी, कम से कम।
कहीं ना कहीं जेब पर जैसे बढ़ेगा, क्योंकि 10 का आलू और 50 का मिल रहा है।
जेब पे असर पड़ रहा है, और किस चीज पे पड़ेगा भैया। महंगाई चरम सीमा पे है। आलू चिप्सोना चल रहा है 1200-1300 रुपये पैकेट, 50 किलो है। और 37 चल रहा है 24 रुपये 25 रुपये किलो। और सूर्या 1350-1300 रुपये।
तो ये कौन से रेट है? थोक वाले रेट है?
ये थोक वाले रेट है।
तो रिटेल में जाते जाते कितना पहुंच जाता है आलू 1 किलो अगर बात करें?
1 किलो अगर 1350 का लाएगा तो बंदा 30 रुपए किलो बेचेगा, और 1250 का लाएगा तो 25 तो पड़ जाएगा, 30 ही बेचेगा वो भी। हाँ,
तो रेट बढ़ गए हैं पहले से?
हाँ, रेट बढ़ गया है।
कब से बढ़े हैं ये रेट?
रेट करीब 2 महीने से बढ़े।
क्या कारण लगता है आपको रेट बढ़ने का?
कारण यही है मैडम, पीछे से आलू आ रहा नहीं है, स्टोर वालों ने रोक रखा आलू। हाँ,
तो ये कहाँ से आता है आलू मंडी में, उपला मंडी में?
आलू गुजरात से आता है, और ये वहाँ से आता है हाथरस, अलीगढ़, संभल, पंजाब।
Well, let's look at some international stories. Russian missiles struck a children's hospital in Kiev, killing at least 3 people, marking the largest bombardment of the Ukrainian capital in months. Another attack in Kryvyi Rih resulted in at least 10 deaths. President Volodymyr Zelensky reported that Russia targeted 5 cities with over 40 missiles, hitting apartment buildings and public infrastructure. The attacks included advanced Kinzhal hypersonic missiles, which fly at 10 times the speed of sound, making them difficult to intercept. The blasts caused city buildings to shake. New UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Northern Ireland Secretary Hilary Benn visited Belfast on Monday, meeting with local political leaders in their first trip since taking office. They were welcomed at Stormont Castle by First Minister Michelle O'Neill and Deputy Emma Little-Pangeli, and later met with Northern Ireland Assembly Speaker Edwin Poots at Stormont Parliament. Starmer's visit follows a landslide victory for his Labour Party in the recent UK general elections.
In his third term, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chooses Russia for his first bilateral visit. All eyes are going to be on the Modi-Putin camaraderie. We get you all the live updates here from Moscow live in collaboration with Russia Today.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 private university in the recently released Education World Rankings. A testimony to Amity's globally benchmarked standards in education.
Hotel Management with AI. Join International Institute of Hotel Management.
कंफर्मेशन के हिसाब से दो अलग अलग इनकाउंटर साइट्स पे इनकाउंटर्स हुए हैं। बॉडी की कंफर्मेशन के हिसाब से 6 आतंकियों का मारे जाने का खबर है। जी जी
सर, कितनी बड़ी सफलता है ये सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के लिए, क्योंकि काफी चल रहा था पिछले दिनों से इंटेलिजेंस इनपुट जिस अंदाज से जम्मू में कुछ टेरर अटैक्स हुए थे और लगातार उसके बाद ऑपरेशंस आपने शुरू किए। डोडा में 4 टेररिस्ट मारे गए, उसके बाद बारामूला में और अब साउथ कश्मीर के कुलगाम में।
निसंदेह ये एक बहुत बड़ा माइलस्टोन है, बहुत बड़ा प्रोग्रेस है। सिक्योरिटी एनवायरनमेंट में मजबूती लाने के लिए।
Well, in the spirit of long-standing Russia-India cooperation and friendship, here at RT from our special coverage studio with nothing less than the Kremlin right behind us, we will be doing a special joint broadcast with Republic TV. So you'll be able to watch that both here on RT International or, of course, on Republic TV. And we'll be talking anything and everything related to the Indian Premier's visit to Moscow. He is wheels down and ready to talk business with his Indian counterpart. And we are here ready to talk with Arnab Goswami about what this all means, where there's room for further cooperation, and how this historic friendship has endured over the decades. We'll see you later.
His third term and Prime Minister Narendra Modi chooses Russia for his first bilateral visit. From the United States to China, the world looks on at the Putin-Modi camaraderie. Join me, Sujarita Kukreti, live from Moscow as I report for Republic TV.
Are you comfortable with 2 secessions becoming MPs in the Lok Sabha? Amritpal, how can a man who's waging war, taking an army, attacking police stations, saying he's going to break the country, how can we let that man walk into our parliament? Rashid engineer has been charged with funding terrorism. The only thing that matters to me is that he has worked with groups to sponsor terrorism in India and is facing a trial for it. And my question is, when we are changing colonial laws and replacing it with the Bharatiya Nyaya Sandhya.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate. Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. Within 72 hours, as we feared, within 72 hours only or less of taking oath as a member of Parliament of the Indian Republic, the jailed Khalistani supporter Amritpal Singh has reaffirmed his undying commitment to a Khalistan state. This man who in the past has waged war against the country, made seditious remarks of calling for arms against the Indian state, and then justified the picking of arms against the Indian state. This man who laid siege and armed siege to a police station with his private and illegal army. And this man who has time and again threatened the sovereignty of India has done it once again with the quote-unquote legitimacy now of being a member of the Lok Sabha. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on here? What's going on? Are we going to watch this and do nothing? The constitution on which Amritpal put his hand on and probably solemnly affirmed to uphold India's integrity has been effectively torn apart by him tonight after his statement. Are we just going to sit and watch and do nothing, and all of this while the mascots of democracy, who use the constitution as a prop, as a marketing gimmick, people like Rahul Gandhi who do this with the constitution and use it for their political gains, stand as mute spectators of this violation of our democracy? Ladies and gentlemen, I had warned you when this man Amritpal filed for his nomination. I warned you when he won the elections. I warned you again when he was given bail to take oath, that the oath of such a person would have no meaning and be nothing but an absolute lie. The signs have always been there, but this time Amritpal has done it once again at the taxpayers' expense and of our parliament. And the fact that he is doing this so brazenly and we can't do anything about it is unacceptable. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight on the show I'll give you several reasons why Amritpal should be disqualified. That's debate number one tonight, viewers. That's debate number one this evening. And I appeal to anyone who has a conscience and who believes in this country to start an anti-Amritpal movement in this country. Debating two tonight, we have unfortunate deaths in Katwa. Ladies and gentlemen, we've lost lives and we have a big debate on that. Latest breaking news, we'll also go live to where the encounter has happened. 4 Jawans have been martyred. The Jaish-e-Mohammed's hand has surfaced. Pakistan is getting desperate. That's debate number 2 tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And I have a special broadcast at 9 o'clock tonight as the Prime Minister begins a historic official visit. And the largest networks of Russia and of Bharat, Russia Today and Republic are joining hands in this unprecedented global coverage. That's at 9 o'clock tonight. We'll live to our studios in Moscow tonight. And at 9:15, why I believe it's time for America to get real, because our foreign policy is in our hands. the Americans can take a walk. Ladies and gentlemen, here are the headlines. Start of the week this Monday evening on the Debate Tonight. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lands in Russia for the first time since 2019, where he will attend a dinner hosted by Russian President Vladimir Putin. The two heads of state are set to hold talks as Moscow gears up to host the historic 22nd annual India-Russia summit, which begins tomorrow. The largest news networks of Russia and India, Russia Today and the Republic Media Network, have come together for an unprecedented global broadcast of Narendra Modi's Moscow visit and his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin will hold in-person talks during the 22nd annual India-Russia summit. Issues of Indian nationals being dragged into the war likely to be discussed. And within 72 hours of being sworn in as a member of the Lok Sabha, Khalistani supporter Amritpal Singh is back to secessionist ways, says nothing wrong in dreaming of a Khalistani state. And ladies and gentlemen, a mere 72 hours have passed since Khalistani supporter, terrorist supporter Amritpal Singh took oath as a member of the Lok Sabha. Within this time, Amritpal has already violated his constitutional oath when he admonished his own mother who said that her son is not a Khalistani supporter. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Amritpal has shown his true colors. The bigger question is, should this anti-national be allowed to continue for even a minute more as a member of parliament? Let's debate.
Are you also vouching for a separate state?
Yeah, that's the idea of Khalistan is, it's not separate state. Separatism is like, we were connected to someone. We were not, we were forcefully, taken into Indian nation by Britishers. There was no India before 1947. They established this country.
Amritpal Singh was sworn in recently as Member of Parliament from Khadur Sahib. His anti-India statement comes just 3 days after his swearing in. The Khalistani radical currently resides in Dibrugarh jail, facing serious charges under the National Security Act. His statement comes after his mother said that Amritpal does not represent Khalistan.
कोई कुछ भी कही जावे कोई खालिस्तानी समर्थक नहीं हैगा जिद्दां हुण पंजाब दे हक्कां दी गल करना अपनी पंजाब दी नौजवानी नूं बचाउणा कोई खालिस्तानी समर्थक हो जांदा बंदा ਉਹ ਤੇ ਸੰਵਿਧਾਨ ਦੇ ਦਾਇਰੇ 'ਚ ਰਹਿ ਕੇ ਚੋਣ ਲੜੀ ਹੁਣ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਕੋਈ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਸੰਵਿਧਾਨ ਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਸੰਵਿਧਾਨ ਦੀ ਸਹੁੰ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਆ ਸੰਵਿਧਾਨ ਦੇ ਦਾਇਰੇ 'ਚ ਰਹਿ ਕੇ ਚੋਣ ਲੜੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਇਹ ਵਾ ਵੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੰਮ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਤੇ ਮਸਲਾ ਉਠਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਨੌਜਵਾਨੀ ਨੂੰ ਬਚਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਹੱਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ
Within 24 hours, Amritpal Singh rebuffed his mother, even went on to admonish his family for saying that he was not a Khalistani supporter, saying that he will never compromise on a so-called Sikh state. This is not the first time Amritpal has made secessionist remarks.
No peace can be established without weapons. That's why every state have weapons. The police, we say the police is for peace. Why they have weapons? So weapons are not evil thing. If it's very evil, why don't the government send the state and everybody army? They just dismiss all the armies, all the weapons, dispose everything, and then ask us why do we have weapons?
Now that Amritpal has already violated his constitutional oath, does he deserve to sit in the Lok Sabha a minute longer? Is it time to disqualify Amritpal Singh?
So the situation is this. And Raman Malik, I want to start with you. You have a terrorist supporter, a Khalistani sympathizer who says within 2 days of swearing by the Constitution of India that I promise, he says, effectively to break the Indian state. And a person who says, Surinder Singh Lali, a person who says, I will break the Indian state, I do not believe in the borders and the sovereignty of India. I do not even believe in India or Bharat. We will all watch. You see, the people like Rahul Gandhi who do this to the Constitution as a marketing tool. They will say, no, let's not speak about Amritpal, let's just use this. Mohabbat ki dukaan isko kehte hain. Inki mohabbat ki dukaan. Akashdeep Muni is on the debate, Lokesh Jindal is on. I want to start with Surinder Singh Lali. Surinder Singh Lali, 1 minute. Surinder Singh Lali, is any political party in Punjab taking a position against this?
You know, Arnab, as a proud Indian Sikh, it pains me to see these fringe rogues now come into my parliament. You talk about political party, you have a gentleman for Aam Aadmi Party. They have still not done a press conference on their alleged accusation from Pannu that he gave them $16 million, and let this be for the record. So politicians are playing with this, and I think it's time that the Indian government takes cognizance with it because it's a border state and we could be playing with fire. These people who supposedly think that they are unshown here in no way understand Sikhism or the value Sikhism stands for or the sacrifices. Arnab, I want to thank you that you're allowing the likes of me who have nothing to do with these Johnny, these trains who could be making these noises in America and Canada under the bogey of free speech and peddling the wrong narrative and putting the likes of me, majority of Sikhs in North India, under the needle of suspicion. So I think these kind of Johnnies have no right. Can you imagine this gentleman is going to be sharing space with the likes of Sudha Murthy? So I think there is something that needs to be done. If the government doesn't do it, we, the civil society, the media, and I want to be a part of the narrative where I do not wish to see them in the sacred space of our parliament.
Well, I think it's incredible that people like you are speaking up, because I agree with you. These people who call themselves pro-Khalistani have no right to speak for all Sikhs. Sikhs are nationalists, Sikhs are patriots, Sikhs believe in this country, Sikhs have laid down their lives for the country. And the Sikh faith has always stood by what is right and against what is wrong. Sikh gurus have sacrificed their lives to defend their Hindu brethren. And I think it's so sorry and I feel so sad today that there isn't a national movement against this. Akashdeep Muni, what happened to the Chief Minister? Is he scared? Is Bhagwant Mann scared of taking on even Amritpal? Then he should quit. Law and order is under him. He's so scared. The other day we saw a group of Nihangs. They attack someone with swords. There are daylight killings and murder attempts happening on anyone who speaks up. I mean, what is this? Is Bhagwant Mann in any position to speak on Amritpal, or will he say, I'll pass the parcel on this?
Arnab, he was giving the gun license.
It's only Bhagwant Mann government who put Amritpal behind bars. It was not Bharatiya Janata Party and Shiromani Akali Dal government prior to that, and even not other governments, even not Congress government. It was Aam Aadmi Party government with three.
Firstly, that's wrong. It was a joint operation. I'm sorry, he did nothing. Eventually, it was a joint operation that caught him. Please, anyway, come to the point. The man is saying...
I'm coming to the point. Let me come to the point now. Now, the point I want to make today is that...
Take it as breaking news, please.
At the center of power, it is very astonishing that the central government has allowed 3 prone terrorists to fight elections this time. From Khadur Sahab, Amritpal Singh fought and won. Not only... and then Sarabjit Singh, who is the son of... the assassin of late Indira Gandhi ji, won from Farid.
But give me one. No. 1 minute. Did you make us 1 minute? I want to know. Please let me focus on this, viewers, because you see, political parties are all hypocrites. They're saying, oh, it's so sad that the BJP allowed Amritpal, to fight the election. Did he fight on a BJP ticket? The question is not that. The question is this: did Arvind Kejriwal? I am asking you. Listen to me. I am asking you a question. People, viewers of Republic, nationalists, members of the Nationalist Collective, supporters of Republic, believers in Republic, believers in nationalism. I am asking you tonight. I am asking you tonight to the holy soil of this country. I am asking you tonight. If any one of us swears by the holy soil of Bharat and says, has any major political leader questioned this? Has Arvind Kejriwal spoken about it? Did Bhagwant Mann oppose it openly? Has Bhagwant Mann or Arvind Kejriwal made a single open statement against Amritpal, or have they played safe?
Listen to me.
This country will not become great if we play safe. I'm listening to you. I'm getting Raman Malik in. I'm getting Raman Malik in. I'm getting Raman Malik into the debate.
I just need 2 minutes.
I can't tolerate having this man in parliament. This man cannot be allowed to operate in parliament.
To put everything in perspective.
Breaking news on this, please.
Just 2 minutes to put everything in
only
perspective.
On this story.
First of all, please understand. Bhindranwala was erected by Mrs. Indira Gandhi. Erected by Mrs. Indira Gandhi through Kamal Nath on a stipend. Please mark the point. Bhindranwala was erected by Indira Gandhi through Kamal Nath on a stipend. Second number point, SGPC never condemns any separatists. SGPC has
breaking news on this story.
Love for
everyone
separatism. On. SGPC does not come forward and say that separatism is not okay. Third, most important point, which has to be talked. They talk about 84 and yet they vote for Congress. Fourth major point, which has to be understood. The Honorable Supreme Court of India could suo moto say that yes, this person is a secessionist. He has no right to be in the parliament. But the Honorable Supreme Court remains quiet. And that, my dear friend,
then somebody has to take the matter to the Supreme Court. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, Raman, 1 minute. Raman Malik, I call you this. These matters. 1 minute. Sir, 1 minute. Akashdeep, chill. Okay. Viewers, here's the situation. Okay, 1 minute. Here's the situation. All political parties have gone scared. I'm not sparing the BJP also. Is the BJP on this panel tonight? No, there are pro-BJP voices. There is no BJP official voice. If every political party in this country wants to be safe vis-a-vis Amritpal, then I say, let a right-thinking citizen of this country go to the Supreme Court with a PIL. He or she will be heard. Let Justice Chandrachud decide, honorable courts decide, whether a man who has endangered the sovereignty of this country, violated Section 152, violated Section 152 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which deals with acts endangering the sovereignty and integrity of this country. Let someone go to the Supreme Court. Because this statement has been taken, Lokesh Jindal, 1 day after he was sworn in. One day. It's deliberate. It is deliberate. It is aimed at telling 1.4 billion people of this country, I will use your democracy to destroy it. And we are going to be this woke liberal, oh, let's not do anything, live and let live. It's all carry on. Sab log khush rehte hai, tolerate karo. Mohabbat ki dukaan, soft state. है ना? Lokesh?
For this, it's going to be election commission. Arnab, if you look at the present constitutional provisions, it is the election commission that will have to take the due cognizance, because prior to 1st of July, it was section 153A, for which he was accused and he was under trial also. And if you look at Article 102 along with Article 103, it is for the election commission to look into the matter, and the president, after taking the opinion of the election commission, would be taking a call with respect to disqualification of Amritpal Singh.
The point is the Honorable Supreme Court jumps into issues suo moto. Why can't they come right now? Enter this issue. The Honorable Supreme Court has
very major matter tonight. Breaking news. Amritpal, the breaking news has to appropriately say, 1 minute, our breaking news sticker should be corrected. The breaking news sticker should be corrected of Republic. It should say, Amritpal violates his oath as Lok Sabha MP by declaring allegiance to Khalistani state. That is what it should say. The debate is on whether he should be disqualified. I'm shocked at this, Surinder Singh Lalli. Everybody is passing the buck. Supreme Court, Election Commission, Speaker. Nobody wants to do anything, you know.
Arnab, look at the irony and the hypocrisy. On one hand, they're hiding behind the Election Commission, and if that was to take a decision, then this is Samvidhan Khatre mein hai. So they need to decide which side of the fence they're sitting on. I mean, whatever.
But what about Om Birla? He's the Lok Sabha Speaker. Can't he decide this? 1 minute. Mr. Lalli, today, if you have pledged your allegiance to a foreign state, even if it's an imaginary state, which will never happen, it is a violation of Article 1021D of the Constitution of India, which deals with the grounds of disqualification as membership. Why can't Speaker Om Birla decide on this? Let the Speaker decide?
No, the Speaker is not entitled. The Speaker can only decide in anti-defection law.
Do so because within 20
all other provisions are to be dealt as per Article 103 of the Constitution, which requires the Election Commission to give opinion when the President asks the Election Commission for. And even the opinion of Election Commission is binding upon the President.
So what are we doing?
Are talking about the
Sir, he's called for a separate. Sir, what are we doing here? 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 What? I'm sorry. What are we doing here? On the one hand, we have the Prime Minister of India in Moscow today. The whole world is looking at the leadership of India, the possibility that Narendra Modi will play a role in resolving the Ukraine conflict. What are we doing here? A man who's an MP has called for a separate Sikh state. He has said he has called for violence. He has violated his oath. And Ramnik Man, we are playing passing the parcel on Republic.
But it is a president. Simranjit Singh Man continued saying it, and we tolerated it. The Punjab government tolerated it. The Union government tolerated it.
Simranjit Singh Man.
It is not about only Amritpal. It is about Engineer Rashid in Kashmir. It is about Simranjit Singh Man in Punjab. It is about Sarabjit Singh, and it is also about Amritpal and nine other people who asked for Khalistan, and they were allowed to fight an election on an Indian ticket.
Who's allowing
it? After fighting an election, now they are asking for Khalistan. Who allowed them to be fighting for an election? It is the central government who has allowed. Previously also there have been many instances where the central government has stopped these type of goons and terrorists to fight elections, not only in Kashmir but also in Punjab. After 1984 also it happened. But this time under the eye of our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, it is happening that terrorists are getting tickets and terrorists are fighting elections, terrorists are winning with the maximum number of votes in Punjab, and today a terrorist has gone to the parliament.
So why are we complaining? Throw him out! Throw him out! Throw him out, I say, throw him out! We want to be a strong state. We want to be a state that is intolerant to people who are treasonous and disloyal to the country. And if people are disloyal to the country, I cannot have them as MPs. Let there be a public campaign on this. I'm sorry, Surinder Singh Lalli ji. I'm convinced that no political party will touch this issue because all political parties are soft on these fringe elements.
Yeah, because if they want votes, end of the day, they
want votes.
Negotiate the interest of the nation at the cost of, and you know, Punjab, there is no rocket science to know the way Punjab has been disturbed. Punjab is a border state. China controls Pakistan's proxy, and Punjab already has a drug problem. So there is so much happening in Punjab.
I need it fast.
We're playing with fire. I mean, this could be fire because of the drug issue and other unemployed people. There could be a fertile ground for another, the Punjab problem to happen. I don't know why nobody's smelling the coffee here.
Arnab, I want to make a point here. I mean, a speaker before me said that the Punjab problem was the outcome of Congress. Sir, you are so ill-informed. If you're talking of Sant Jarnail Singh Bidranwale, he was given the baton.
So please let me tell you, he was built up by Indira Gandhi. No, please don't fool yourself. He was built up by Indira Gandhi.
He was not a
that was the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake of Indira Gandhi was to build up Bidranwale as some kind of a strategic asset. Please, sir, everybody knows it.
Kamalnath used to pay, and he gave it
which was involved very much
of Babbar Khalsa. He did not came because of Golden Temple because of any other
Jarnail
thing.
Singh
He
Bhindranwale,
came
the way
because
he
he was
was
scared of Babbar Khalsa. वो वहाँ के छुपा था, वो बब्बर खालसा से डर के छुपा था.
You remember?
What about the role of Shiromani Akali Dal?
Shiromani Akali Dal and Bharatiya Janata Party.
Why are you simply giving it a clean chit?
Shiromani
And that very Shiromani Akali Dal was your alliance
are
partner.
equally responsible for this menace.
No, so Shiromani Akali Dal was your alliance partner.
They are equally
If you are talking about the nationalist agenda, if you are so much particular about nationalist sentiment,
no, I think that
why did you form an alliance with Shiromani Akali Dal?
All the 10 gurus came from Punjabi Khatri families, and today Punjabi Khatris do not have a say in the SGPC. It is one particular community.
I think it is one of those moments I'll tell you this. The man is actually a coward, Amritpal. You can see his cowardice. We sent a reporter once when he was coming out of the private army. He was coming out of the Golden Temple. We asked him a question and he started abusing the Indian state. He said India does not exist. It's a British creation. It was never there. I don't believe in India. And he swore to break the state. And he's a devious man. He is an asset of Pakistan. And I think we've been too tolerant with him. And viewers, I know a lot of you are calling tonight. I'm going to keep up the pressure on this. And I want you to remember, when no political party takes a stand, when all political parties, Surinder Singh Lalli, I don't want to say something, I'm coming to you, but I remind you viewers, when all political parties fail, it is only and only Republic which puts the pressure in the right direction. Surinder Singh Lalli, last word to you tonight.
Arnab, France, Belgium, Sweden,
Canada.
They also Canada. I mean, Canada is still more active a player, but under Vauquerie, these people didn't make the right noises, and there was riots yesterday in Paris when the result came out. When the projections came out.
But that is.
So I think these are free case studies that we can learn from.
There are enough case studies, Mr. Lalli. I'll tell you this. In Canada, where these Khalistanis get support from, if you make threats to the Canadian state, you will be expelled within seconds from Parliament. This is Section 18 of the Constitution Act 1867. And it's also in the United Kingdom. United Kingdom and Canada allow these Khalistanis. They would never allow it, Mr. Lalli, on their own soil against their own country.
Arnab, allow me to give you another unscientific case study. Pannu makes an open threat to Air India. Air India is a star alliance with 25 or 26 airlines in it, in which you have, American Airlines too. Why is the American state quiet on it? Because there is a court say there could be Americans, Canadians, Singapore Airlines, Air Canada. They're traveling on it. I mean, if I was to even move in a devious manner...
31 senators, Ms. Surinderji, we need to think, what are we becoming? We want to be a strong state. Political parties are failing us. BJP should speak up on it. BJP should have a full press conference on this. In America, 31 senators have been kicked out when they have been treasonous and disloyal to the country. The whole country is watching tonight how political parties are failing us on Amritpal. But ladies and gentlemen, we will continue to pile on the pressure. I have breaking news tonight on the unfortunate incident that's happened in Katwa, where we have had another attack, ladies and gentlemen, on a Indian Army vehicle. Around 3:30 p.m. this has happened. This has been attacked by terrorists in Katwa's Machedi area. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, there have been casualties. And Shawan brings us more from the newsroom, and then we'll talk more about this. Shawan, tell me the entire sequence of events, what's happened, which part of Katwa is it in, and was it a single vehicle or was it part of a convoy?
Well, in fact, the incident took place around 3:30 this afternoon, and this is at Katwa border, which is bordering Udhampur district, is what we are picking up. The vehicle was part of the 22 Garhwal unit. In fact, it was the 2.5-ton military vehicle that was used. We are being told, Arnab, that 10 army personnel were part of, was in this vehicle.
What is that video we are playing tonight? I just want to be clear about it. You can see, what is that video?
Well, in fact, Arnab, these are images of the vehicle moving in earlier. In fact, this was in the ridge line, what you're seeing right now on your screens, closer to